Let's see. Yes, we are started here. Give a little bit of an intro because I know it takes a little bit while for Rokfin. Sometimes it makes me go in and do it manually, but as you guys can see, very special guest. So glad to have him here. We got Keisha and we got Courtney. You guys know them as the Banks sisters. How are we doing today, ladies? Or tonight?
What up?
We're doing great. Can't complain, Relax.
No, we could complain.
We could.
No, we could complain.
You don't want to hear it.
Honestly. But other than that, with everything, all the crazy stuff that's happening, we're good.
Yeah.
We're happy to be here with y'all.
We are happy to have you here. Chris, brother, how are we doing tonight?
No, we good, man. Ladies, how you doing? Good afternoon or good evening, rather. Marcus, you still got the sun up.
Actually, yes,
But,
I
when-
have the sun up.
Yeah. When she said happy to be here, it makes me think of coming to America, right? Very happy to be here.
I'm going to, and I want to make sure to remind everybody that we are tonight streaming on Rokfin also. So if you prefer Rokfin than to being on the YouTube, then go on ahead and check us out. Or if you're not subscribed over there, please subscribe. Also, the fact of if you're not subscribed to my other channel, what we've been thinking, if you're on the Rokfin, you'll get both of the content from both channels. And then I periodically go through and re-upload a video that got kind of buried in time. They didn't get as many views, which I think that it was a pertinent video that everyone should check out. So make sure to check that out. And then I'm going to be doing some exclusive stuff over there also. Pretty sure Chris will. And I got a couple of people who are going to be dropping some articles on the page too. So there's plenty of reasons why you should be subscribed to our Rokfin channel. So make sure you do that. Tonight we have a very interesting show. I know you guys saw the thumbnail, and yes, we will be talking, about Matt Walsh, about his "What Is a Woman" documentary, which he did. We're also going to be talking about just some of the commentary which we've seen out here from different channels, from different people within, I guess this media sphere, independent media, and we're going to give some of our thoughts on it. And me and Chris, we noticed that we were doing some of this commentary, and we noticed that the Banks sisters were doing a lot of stuff. Well, I think that they might have actually did the Matt Walsh one maybe like a week right before we did a video kind of going down some of the same topics. And then I also noticed on the drought stuff, Keisha was bringing up a lot of stuff about Lake Mead and the droughts and stuff. And that was something I was paying attention to also. We were having the nationwide droughts. And then to double it up even more, they were one of the first that were talking about the Brittany Griner situation. We were talking about Brittany Griner. Then it was also the luxury bunkers. That was another topic that I saw there. I was like, well, wait a minute. We're talking about so many things similar. We need to sit down and just have a conversation with them and just kind of compare notes and bump ideas. And so I think that that'll be a lot of fun. Ladies, I don't know. Did you guys know that we were doing almost like similar commentary?
Well, the comments were always telling us. Yeah, like everyone in the comments would always be like, have you heard of Marcus Gage? Like, what's this about? So, yeah.
Oh, you read more of the comments than I do. Yeah, I mean, no, I'm glad to hear it. When you actually first reached out, that was what
it
really
was a bad time.
Me in the Lake Mead droughts, because we've been following that a lot. Like when we lived in LA, that I was more so concerned about earthquakes, but then once the drought really started going on, it really like gave me a lot of anxiety. So we've just been following it, and I watch all the little videos about the water level dropping, because what the hell are we gonna do about crops and about energy and electricity?
They don't have a lot of years left over there, but they're acting like everything is fine. So it's very
that's going to be fun. We're going to start off with that topic, but just so you guys know, of course, we got the Matt Walsh thing. We're going to talk about the droughts. We got a couple of stories. Like I don't know if you guys have known about, well, the audience. I know more than likely Chris and the Banks sisters know about this, but like the heat wave that's literally been going on everywhere. Not only across the U.S., across Europe, Like I even just saw a story about Russia literally having flash flooding going on right over there right now.
Oh.
So that's something I wanted to get into. And then let's go ahead. I want to give some love out here to the audience, especially those who waited on me. All the fault drops back onto me for us running late. But you guys know me. I run late all the time. So it's not even a big deal. But for those who are new, I thank you for your
we're gonna keep that.
Let's see, and I see Independent Left News was in the building. Indy was here first, so much love to Indy. Signs says, was that triple murder in Iowa campground not considered a mass shooting because only 3 people were shot? Technically, when it's 3 or more, that's what constitutes a mass shooting. So they might just not have caught it, and maybe they'll catch up to it in probably a day or so. But yes, I had not heard about that. John Kemper, my man, glad to see you. Ruby Krill, hello. Kelly, glad to see you. Say Baba Yaga Forest Dweller is out there. Who else do we see in the chat? Corona Ursa. Sorry, we run a little late. Choosy as always. Always bringing us some good.
What's going on, everybody?
See, Dale got the truth bombs. Yeah, we're gonna have some truth bombs tonight. I guarantee you that. Yipper 99, Cat 83. Let me say. I don't even know what that's talking about, but that's probably a troll. You guys,
Marcus,
I'm blaming on y'all. What's that, sir?
Marcus, did you go check on your president? He got COVID, I heard.
Oh man, I read somebody's tweet earlier about it. It said, where are my comrades to help me out? And I'm like, what are they talking about? Apparently they had said, I heard Biden got COVID. Good luck to COVID. So that got them a suspension. It's kind of like, remember when I got suspended, Chris, for it was that caption this, and it had Biden and it had Putin watching him on like the Jumbotron. And it was like, caption this, what is he saying? And I put Putin was thinking, I can't wait till I bomb your ass. And that got me in trouble. I'm always getting in trouble.
You got suspended from Twitter for saying that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jesus.
I'm like, it's a joke.
I can't take it.
Wow, that's very far.
But he knows. I get suspensions. I counted up our pages. This one and actually I didn't even think about my other one because I have like 4 on there too. We have about 30 copyright claims.
I mean, well, sometimes you just gotta. Whoops. How else are we supposed to make this content?
Yeah, exactly.
It's really hard.
But also, I mean, the other part, the crazy part is like we're not asking anybody for money. You know what I'm saying? So
nope.
All right, yeah, fine. We put your shit up. We're not pocketing any cash from this. So just calm down. Like, stop your bitching.
Well, they don't want
corporate culture shit. Yeah, that part too. Just when you think like, oh, we just like independent people with small followings here and there. They be watching all this shit.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Nuts because people's programs.
No, everything is what?
No, everything has to have a transcript now too, so it's even easier for them to like go through and just grab what you're saying. So we have noticed that. Edit our videos a lot.
But I mean, all of this with what you're talking about with Twitter, I mean, it's all just about self-censorship. Like that's the goal. Like the goal is to scare all of us to stop talking or to talk in a certain way. So it's getting to points that, I mean, it's really crazy that, it seems like people on the left aren't actually standing up for things that we say we care about. I mean, it's like freedom of speech, and then you see that the platforms are manipulating.
They're the worst.
I mean, if you want to like an article that's from RT, Russia Today, or whatever, they make you click an extra link if you're going to retweet it. Like, are you sure? Like, questioning your own sanity. Are you sure you want to like this? Right. Are you sure you want to associate with that? It's so reminiscent of all this kind of red scare stuff. And it's such controlling manipulation. And I can't believe that more leftists are not fighting back against it and calling it out for what it is. Like, you have to just let people say what they want to say. Like, I'm sorry. That's the whole point of America, I thought. So obviously we have some parameters about hate speech, but like, damn, like we should be able to say jokes. We should be. I do stand up, so I'm not the first person who's gonna say, limit somebody's speech. Right. I would sit through really terrible, egregious kind of jokes in open mics where people would say disgusting things about women, about Black people, and you know what? There are consequences after that, certainly. But I want to hear.
I'd rather hear what you have to say first. At least I know where we stand. You know what I'm saying?
Right there.
An actual good place. You might just be saying it wrong in the first place, but you have to let people like find that on their own. Forcing people is not going to make people.
Well, it's not only that they're not fighting back; they're part of the push for more of it.
Yes, very.
That's I'm used to leftists talking this big game and not doing anything. I'm used to that part. Oh, we're all gonna get out there. We're gonna get in the streets if this don't happen, and they don't. But the fact that they're pushing and encouraging the censorship. And I see Steve makes a good point here. He says you can watch porn and snuff video on Twitter, but jokes are the real violence. Yeah, exactly. And shout out to Shadowban out there too.
So true, Steve.
What's going on, fellas? Wow. Marcus, those people, they wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight. They will just report your account, get you taken down, and that's about as far as they're gonna go. They're not gonna do anything, because if you get offline and you talk to people outside, even people who are sympathetic to certain topics, shall we say, even they're like, yo, I'm all for this, but it seems like it's going a little too far, and that's regular people who are not even too political. So Tina, the world that the online reality that they live in is very different from what goes on outside. If they ever do go outside, they will be shocked to learn this.
If they do go outside, they must live in places that they're able to have such privilege to have these kind of safe spaces. Right. Like, I'm sorry, but when we were growing up, we were some of the only Black people here. Guess what? They said a lot of white people said a lot of ignorant things, and
we didn't have any choice.
Pick your battles, okay? Pick your battles.
Right, and you had to get tougher skin, and you had to be comfortable with yourself, and you had to be strong for yourself. I mean, there's something to be said for, just because somebody has freedom of speech and they can say whatever they want, you decide how you take it in or how you don't take it in. So, I mean, and that's just part of growing up too. I mean, because people will try to say purposely. So you've got to learn how to move past that.
All right. So
this generation couldn't live.
We're going to we'll hold it. We're gonna put a pin in it. We'll get right back to it. Hold that thought, Chris. So we can go ahead and show the intro. I see Tina out there, Actress out there.
I told you what I was doing.
Yeah, I know. Everybody is on a wavelength. I wish I was on, but I'll leave it at that. And so, I mean,
somebody has to be the designated driver tonight. So thank you for volunteering.
I'm the designated driver. So let's go on ahead and get this intro started. Then let's continue with the fun.
A question that you need answers. Hello, and thank you for joining me.
This is the Political Matrix.
Bookmarks, because these words did not come from us.
Mostly kidding. Mostly.
Ham and the garlic aioli.
And then they're going to change their narrative to Black Lives Matter to all Black Lives Matter, and then they're going to talk about LGBT.
So I felt like I wanted to put a couple of clips together.
Seltzer all day long. I love that shit.
Doesn't matter where we are. We obviously came up in there.
You know how he treats them. He don't treat them nice at all. He real rough with them, and you was a good match.
Our budget, so much more, are forming this weird cabal.
Yeah, it's not. None of them are.
Do the Chinese own part of that?
So he picked Masvidal. So I have Kobe tonight. If whether it's Biden, whether it's Obama, just sitting up there.
There are people in the Green Party that can organize. No, they can organize. They usually just get blackballed by their own party too.
Taking orders from the private industry here.
You know, like I say, people come on here, they can say stuff they don't normally say on their own shows, which is fine. I
don't know, Chris. I think this might be the old intro, but it works either way. All right, so yes, now the show is officially started. We can get kicked off. I talked to Emmanuel the other day. Emmanuel's doing good. He's still going crazy on Twitter, going after those shit lives. So, you know, much love to E. Hopefully, you know, I don't know. Hopefully he starts to get an itch and want to come back and comment. We do miss him on here, but yeah, let's oh yeah, that's right. I said I was gonna go through a quick rundown, really quick. Let me pull up a couple of stories because I don't know if everybody's heard about all this different crazy shit that's going on here. Let's see. I already talked about the flash flooding that's going on in Sochi. Iran has just dropped a big report about catching a bunch of Israeli spying. Now, I know people take that for however you want to, but I think that that's going to turn into something, so I think we need to pay attention to it. Remember the Google engineer who talked about... what was that, Chris?
That's like, sorry, Marcus. That's like the sun is hot and water is wet, right? Catching Israeli spies.
But I think more is about to start happening about this. If you like I've been seeing more action than talk, and Putin has just went down to Iran and had a nice little visit, and he's been over to Turkey, had a nice little visit. So I think those are some things that we need to pay attention to. I was going to say Google. They just fired their engineer who was saying that the sentient life is like coming on board. So I don't know, why are they firing this dude? If they can just disagree with him, but the fact that they fired him was kind of interesting. And this is kind of in more petty news. Japan decides to bar Putin from going to Shinzo Abe's funeral. Let's see. Oh, and we talked about Biden having COVID, and then we have the massive protests that are going on in Panama, your home, Chris, your fam's home, and Ecuador. So just some interesting things to kind of keep in mind that while all this stuff's going on, it's a lot more shit going on that we don't always get to talk about. So just wanted to throw that out there real quick. But what are your thoughts, ladies? Have you two heard about half of the stuff? This crazy?
Yeah,
stuff?
I was gonna ask, what do you mean by sentient AI? Like that would mean that they
right.
learn.
Yeah, that was it. It was kind of like it was like talking back in its own way or something. I only know a little bit about it, but it seemed scary.
Well, what it was is the AI was supposed to be trained so that it can start kind of having conversations and formulating its own kind of thought process to be able to communicate uniquely to mimic human communication. But what he's saying is this is going past mimicking. This is like it's thinking on its own. It's starting to draw different connections which are not in the coding.
Like the movie iRobot, right? So why do we make these movies that tell us what's gonna happen,
and then nobody believes it? Then everyone's like,
and now a scientist is fired. That's how the movie starts.
Exactly.
The guy gets killed in the beginning.
Yep. Anytime they fire somebody or get rid of somebody, there's something else. That's for
sure. You know what Philip K. Dick said, right? He said he's going to stop making these types of movies because every time he makes a movie, a scientist comes out and tries to make the shit that he put in the movie.
Oh, no. Okay, wow.
So all he's doing is giving...
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
And so, like, one of the biggest ones he cited was, like, Minority Report. He's like, yeah, okay, we don't have, like, some clones. I mean, not clones, but we don't have, like, triplets in a pool who will have psychic abilities. But what they're doing is they're creating computer algorithms to act the same way and process all our information, whether it's banking, tracking records, where we're going, all these things to calculate us. All of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's over. I mean, it's over for us. We're done,
guys. We're at the last leg.
That's it. So, like, this is fun. We can talk about all this little stuff, but this is it. Okay. I hope we run out of oxygen first. That's what I hope, because this is going bananas.
Like we're on a very fast roller coaster. Like I thought, like, oh, we'd have some time, you know. It's just like everything is just snowballing so much between the climate change and now
we've seen the movie Contagion recently. Now we're living iRobot. Soon it's gonna be Independence Day or something. Yes. I mean, Utopia, that show that was on.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
remember, Chris, we got in trouble for that. We actually got a strike for that one.
We already got in trouble for that. They pulled our shit that night.
They yanked our video. We were at like within an hour, we were at like 290 views. They're like, yank that shit down.
Damn. So like a copyright strike, or they just pulled the whole thing?
No. They hit us with because see, normally when they'll hit us with a copyright strike, it will just limit the views. So like literally you'll have to go to our channel, click the views, then go over to lives, and then you'll see, oh shit, they did a live stream.
Right.
But this time, no, they were completely hiding it. You could not see our channel, and then they yanked the video down completely. Damn. And I was like, well, what if I just take that part out? They were like, no, you're done.
Wow. This is
we never did it.
No, we were showing the part when what's homeboy's name? I can't remember his name. Cusack, when they had him tied up on the couch, and he was just, spilling his guts, and he was just at that point he was keeping it real. He was like, well, this is how we're gonna fuck you, and we're gonna do it this way, that way, whatever. And they was like, nah, let the people go find that, But really, it's looking like, in addition to Utopia, it's looking like The Feed. You should check that one out. This is where like the internet is already in you. You're kind of born with the internet, and you can walk in a room and talk to anybody you want. You can just find them just by looking here. You can have multiple windows open. It's the first few. That's how you look essentially.
Whoa! Kind of how they wanted those like Google glasses to work, but they didn't work. Yeah, but, like you're kind of like they want the internet to like be our third eye, basically. They want to cover our third eye. Which I don't know a lot about spiritual stuff, but that's about seeing stuff, your auras and whatnot. And they want to cover that up with some Google Glass and take your life.
I love that you just know about all this stuff on like the most basic.
You just have to know just a little bit of everything.
Because in actuality, the third eye is just more of a metaphor for just covering your spiritual side and the stuff that goes past just your flesh and bones.
God, there's sixth sense.
That's soul spirit.
That's sixth sense. All that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they tell you don't go out tonight. Keep your ass home, and then you find out the place got shot up. You're like, see, listen.
Yep.
Listen to it.
Yeah, I see Misha's in the building. What's up, Misha? Oh, but sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. It's just like connecting with your higher power, whatever that sense is, and they definitely want to
can't cover it up with the internet.
They want to cut that tie, like they definitely do. So I didn't know about that. I didn't know about makes sense that they would block Putin from going to stuff. I mean, that's
yeah.
I just feel like this whole issue with the war and everything, like nothing is shocking. Like the United States has been a bully jock, like bro, the whole time, putting people in lockers and being like, fuck you, whatever, you suck. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna take your lunch money. Bye.
I have more money.
Yeah. And now all the people that we stuffed into lockers and shit are coming out and they're like, hey, we should get together and fuck these people up. I mean, it's very simple. People reach a certain breaking point. Yeah. And also you can only be on the top for so long. Everything is a pendulum. So, we're swinging on the downswing.
And they had a lot of time to plan and get together. And look how organized China is versus here. I mean, you think that you're just going to get a couple of people off the street here to pick up some guns and like get it together. It'll be a shit show. Like they are like, they work out together. They exercise. We're like sitting on the couch watching TikTok. This is
that's something.
Speaking of which, are you guys on TikTok?
Oh, say that again.
I don't know how to answer that.
I don't know. You saw their TikTok story.
We're getting back on there because we're just trying to get more views because, as you know, like any one of these platforms can just censor you or shut you down or shadow ban you for whatever reason. So we're trying to, we're going to start trying to put more of our clips like on TikTok. And also we like doing longer form version stuff. Like maybe we're old. I don't know. I like listening to a whole conversation, not just clips.
Well, we started off doing podcasts. So
yeah. And also you can get more context of really what's going on. So it's just like that's learning a different skill, doing like the clips and the TikTok and all that stuff. But we've tried, but we don't want to get too deep into it. If you look at it for too long, it seriously does make you feel kind of crazy.
I remember I saw you.
Trust me, I
were doing the unboxing stuff.
Oh yeah, we did do the unboxing, like clothes.
The clothes thing. Yeah, I saw that. Oh, that's right. I forgot. It's another story. I don't know. Did you guys see about the sinkhole thing that happened in Israel?
In Israel, yeah, that was crazy. What was it? The sinkhole.
That pool.
Yeah. And did you know that
I got the video if you guys want to, because I don't know if everybody's seen it or not. But I was like, where is this at for one? Because my first thoughts was this has to be in Florida. But it turned out it's in Israel.
Yeah.
So I figured since this guy has a little bit more details, I'll let him talk about it. Like now I have to go to the point where, okay, does this have like 100 views? Okay, this person more than likely is not going to copyright me.
There you go. Yeah.
But like anything that's like over, like they hit me with a copyright last week for, I had a guy on the show, an artist on the show, Tones, and Tones, I was literally playing his song. I got a copyright for that. And then I played about maybe 45 seconds of a video, and I got a copyright for that one too. And well, what the copyright was talking about, I think it's more or less what the conversation was, not whose video or any of that. What it was talking about is some of the stuff that some of these record execs do to force people into contracts, and some of them wake up and something seems a little funny. They go in to go sign the deal, and then they're like, I'm not signing that deal. And then they're like, well, what about this? We got you on tape doing this. And like, whoa, what the hell? When did that happen? And so me and Tones were talking about some of the shady stuff that goes on in the record execs, so I think that had something to do with my strikes. We always pushing the limit. Hold on, let me switch that. So this is, I got to get over there to the right one and click it. So let's see.
A man who was sucked into a sinkhole that spontaneously opened in a swimming pool in Israel has been found dead. As reported by the Times of Israel, rescue operations took 4 hours before emergency services recovered the man's body on the 21st of July from the 43-foot deep hole. Later identified as 32-year-old Khalil Kimhi, the exact cause of his death, whether he drowned, was crushed, or died from the fall, is still unknown. A video posted to social media shows the floor of the swimming pool, located in a private home in Karma Yosef, central Israel, buckling and collapsing inwards, sucking in most of the pool water within seconds. 2 men were swept into a vortex that dragged them into the sinkhole. One of the men, aged 34, managed to climb out, while Kimhi was later found dead. 6 people were in the pool at the time and the rest were unharmed. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, while there are several ways that sinkholes can form, they usually occur when the ground below the land surface dissolves into the groundwater and is washed away, leaving an open cavern covered only by a thin layer of ground. Sinkholes are frequent in areas where the rocks are made from limestone, carbonate rock, or salt beds. Human action can also cause sinkholes to form, with groundwater pumping and construction practices changing the natural ground structure and the water drainage patterns. The larger the chasm underneath the land surface gets, the more dramatic the sinkhole. Sometimes, entire cars or even houses can fall into the ground when the thin layer of surface eventually gives way. In the US, the states that experience the most sinkhole-induced damage include Florida, Texas, Alabama, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Pennsylvania. In Florida in 2010, Over 100 sinkholes formed in Dover during a single freeze event, as the farmers irrigated their plants excessively to protect them from the cold, lead to the groundwater levels dropping enormously. In Israel, search teams built a support structure to prevent the pool floor from further collapsing onto them as they looked for the missing man. The search was complicated by the fact that there may have been secondary tunnels connected to the main sinkhole tunnel that could subsequently collapse as well, which would be very dangerous for the rescue teams.
All right, that's good enough. Yeah, and I see some funny comments out there. You guys are freaking hilarious, Steve. So correct. So correct. Like that to me tells me that there is a father up above who believes in some justice.
Whoa.
Well,
let me be careful with that comment.
One sinkhole is hardly enough,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to start somewhere, right? I'm just,
That's true. We don't hear them just to scare them,
I'm just playing everybody. I'm not wishing harm on anybody.
No, of course
not. In particular.
That is insane. That's terrifying.
The first thing I thought was
This show has been canceled already, so you may as well just say whatever you want now.
And over on Rokfin, we have Arim and we have Denver, our good friend, who wants to say hello to the Political Matrix and the Bank Sisters. Nice to have us on.
Hello.
All together.
Hello.
What's going on, guys?
What do you think? Oh,
right, so, yes.
Yeah, I was just saying. I didn't realize the first time I saw that clip that people actually fell into the sinkhole. So then it didn't seem weird to me that people were just like sitting around the outside of the pool, kind of like chilling. I was just like, oh, wow, that was crazy. I mean, wouldn't you just sit there and watch it and be like, oh, get out of the way? But then once I found out that people actually fell in the sinkhole, then you look at it again and see those people chilling. That's weird.
I would run immediately.
I mean,
what do you
they
mean?
were just
They were people just bopping around, kicking their little legs on the side.
Well, yeah, if you see the other clip, like the first clips that came out, you do see the guy literally get sucked down.
Oh, okay, so I didn't see
and
that.
So like the very, very first one I saw, you see one guy get sucked down, you see the other guy, and they grab him and they pull him out. And that's why they're like keep walking around it and trying to figure like what can they do.
Right.
Because but all the ones after that have been cut. So you only see that portion of it.
Yeah, but it's not them. It's just the people sitting around on the side.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's weird. Like, wouldn't you be afraid that something else would happen or the whole thing would collapse? Like, that was really odd. And how quickly it like emptied out the water. The force must have been incredible. Like,
yeah, and they must have been up on a mountain, I guess, right?
Kind of.
Well, that's what it was. That area right there. All it takes is for you to have enough space up under. Chris knows about this because in Florida, this happens a lot. Now, you don't often have people who go down them, but there's times where you'll see, somebody's car halfway like tilted into a sinkhole on the news. And the reason why that happens a lot of times is, I mean, think about it, half of Florida is literally just sitting on the water. Half of it's literally sitting on the water. And so all it takes is enough erosion up under and then a little bit of weight and
yeah, and limestone is not very strong, so that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, that was terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, Courtney, what is going through these people's head who's sitting there like, oh, I haven't seen anybody get sucked down a sinkhole in a while. Interesting. I mean, like what is going through your head to watch that and just be so perfectly calm? Like I was watching the girl who's sitting on like the edge of it. She's literally like laid back, if like she's at SeaWorld or something, just watching seals jump around and do tricks. I mean, no concern at all.
Are they very desensitized? Because they all have to like be in the military.
Well, I think she was the one who climbed. Yeah, I think she was the one who climbed the wall like the awkward Spider-Man and was like just laying back trying to catch her breath because
maybe that's what it was. She's trying to catch her breath. But but damn, why would you stop right there?
I seen her struggle trying to get up the wall. I was shaking my head. Like,
but what if you slipped? Okay, you got up there, you're sitting on the edge. What if you slip right back down? Now you're literally sliding directly into the hole.
Right. I would get.
You're literally wet from being in the water. it's not making sense to me. I don't know. Maybe because black people, we just be like, no, I don't trust that.
I'm going as far away. I'm going. That's it.
Yeah.
We gotta go.
You ask later why people are running. You just run.
Just go.
Yeah, we just run. No.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
if our ancestors would have had that instinct much sooner, America would look very different.
Well, they had good reasons not to run. You know, they definitely had the instinct to run. That's why they had to put in so many terrible, you know, reasons to keep us in.
Yeah, I mean,
now
and I got. Let's see, what is that? Oh man, I got so many good videos in here. So many good videos. That's right. I already have it pulled up. So let's go on ahead and let's stick with America first, and then we can always come back to we can go back to Europe. But we were talking about the Lake Mead information. For those who don't know about what's going on Lake Mead, granted, we have heat waves all over the country. Texas literally hit like record highs. Like Dallas hit like 110 the other day. It gets hot in Texas, I know, but people don't realize there's different regions, and so it you know, it's a little bit different. The temperatures, like it was 110 there. It was like 115, 120 in West Texas. That's hotter than normal. I mean, yeah, they get some 100 and 105, 110. When it starts getting to that 120 or more, I mean, that's like breaking records. And so that's literally going on all across the country. And that has led to like, remember, Chris, we covered about the thousands of cows which were dying in Kansas, where they're just literally falling over dead.
Mm-hmm.
This heat wave has kind of been going on all across the country. And when you already have a place which is dry, like the Southwest, and then you add on massive droughts on top of that, and you also take an area like Las Vegas, because for those who don't know, Lake Mead is would be closest to the Las Vegas area. It's the river which runs into the Hoover Dam, which I remember as a kid was one of the coolest things I ever saw. When we first saw it, we drove through at night. And for those who don't know, it's kind of creepy back in the day because it had no lights. It's literally all reflectors when you drive through it. So it's kind of creepy. All you see is like little white flashes up on the side of the mountain goats, which are like creeping around. But anyway, you know, my little nostalgia moment over. It literally fuels water to like 7 different states. I don't think a lot of people realize how impactful or how important Lake Mead, the water supply, is there. So I got a little clip here. It's going to go into more detail, and then I'm going to give some details if he doesn't go into the details here. And then I'm pretty sure you two, Courtney and Keisha, you guys might have, or you ladies, I got to get used to, you know, the new phonetic wording, language stuff. It's a new world we're living in.
We don't care.
That's okay.
Fine.
Yeah, we know what you meant.
We know it's good.
I say that's what we grew up saying, so you know.
Yeah, I do it all the time. I mean, if I write an email, I say, "Hey guys, what's up?" Like
I say, guys, bros, gals, you know, listen,
Just
whatever
depends.
sounds good at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say y'all know I'm not embarrassed.
Everybody knows when you're being disrespectful and when you're not.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, hey, I'm like, people, I'm over 40. Come on now, give me a break.
Please, you can't get the break.
Let's see. Here we go.
Lake Mead was full of deep water in 2000, but it has shrunk dramatically in the last 20 years. Its basins are also lighter, almost teal in places, indicating increasingly shallow waters linked by extraordinarily skinny canyons. The lake is now surrounded by a puckered shoreline and a white shadow, the so-called bathtub ring, remnants of salts and minerals left behind on the canyon walls by receding water. Lake Mead's low levels are indicative of dangerously low levels throughout the Colorado River Basin. The basin is now dangerously close to a day zero situation in which the reservoir runs dry. The satellite imagery emphasizes how severe the drought in the Southwest has become. Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the United States, supplies water to 25 million people in 7 states as well as some of the country's most important agricultural valleys. The federal government has taken steps to conserve water in the Colorado River Basin in response to the growing crisis. According to a recent analysis of tree ring data, the images, taken by NASA's Landsat program between 2000 to 2022, depict the driest two-decade period since AD 800. Researchers have determined that human-caused global warming has played a role in the current drought's persistence. Lake Mead is only 27% full, the lowest level since the reservoir was filled in 1937, according to the Bureau of Reclamation. The lake's water level, as measured at the Hoover Dam, has dropped 158 feet to 1,041 feet. Snowmelt in the Rocky Mountains typically replenishes the reservoir, which flows down into the Colorado River watershed. However, this year's snowpack has been below average.
Absolutely terrifying. Absolutely.
Yes. What some of the stats? Oh, let me drop that down. So one of the stats that I don't think a lot of people realize is percentage-wise, it's roughly at between 24 to 27% of its normal levels. Another thing is that with the and here's something like I don't think people are factoring into what makes it worse because of some of the population increase which they've had in the Las Vegas area and the boom, especially in like Henderson County, that is increasing to more people and more usage of water, making it go down faster.
Right. That's why I found that it was so interesting that it said that the government is taking steps to limit it. It actually isn't. There are tons of new communities being built all over the West, especially in Arizona. I mean, they're not preventing people from moving to places where they have no access to water.
No,
and
instead they're just telling them that they can bring their water in on trucks.
Right.
How sustainable is that? You're to live off of always getting your water from a truck. This is
Oh, you didn't know they've made some laws about water hours out here in California, but nobody's honoring them.
I mean, mainly for outdoor use though as well. And that was one of the things that gave me anxiety because we used to live at the bottom of the hills in LA and like all these fancy houses and stuff, we would go walking or whatever, and they would all have their water fixtures on, all of them. We lived in this like little crappy apartment and it was just like, don't they understand? Here we are trying to take short showers and shit, and they're not even home most of the time. This is their second house, and no limitations whatsoever. It's scary because those people, if you have that kind of money, you have a house in the hills, like you have the ability to make some decisions, and it's interesting to see, like you can see in the way that they literally like live their lives, how they view it. We were actually talking to this guy the other day.
Oh my God.
Who supposedly is a rocket scientist and works for the government.
We were just at our local bar.
We were at our local bar here in town, and this guy said that we need more CO2 in the air. That's what we need, and that's what's gonna fix it. And his job was like he was a scientist and he worked for some branch of the government. I forget what it was, but and he said we were like, what about climate change? And that was his response. He was being very serious. So it's I believe it. When we hear things like that, and one of the reasons why we like covering Lake Mead as well, I mean, obviously because it is a true and natural reality that we need to talk about because our crops and energy sources, of course, but also just the way that the news covers it, and then the professors and things that will close up the articles, they'll always end on a happy note. And I just feel like we can't be doing that. Like, this is a serious issue, and you have people already stealing water from underground aquifers. The rich are trying to put certain people in place so that they can make sure that they maintain rights to water.
Who was it that was running for office? Caruso, who's running for office in LA, was linked to the water stuff.
Well, something I wanted to throw in real quick. Hold that thought. Don't forget it. But because I know this is going to probably infuriate you. I drive past a school every day to work. Right now, schools are out. Every afternoon when I drive past this school, the sprinklers are running. Every day. Nobody's there. Even when it's raining, they're running. Yeah, just wanted to put that little note out there.
Yeah, and then we don't push anybody to use any recycled water. We don't push any.
Nope.
I mean, we could have that kind of innovation.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I mean, nobody's even barely using gray water. I mean, you could at least be watering your, if you want to keep your grass, water your grass with, your toilet water.
Or
like,
keep
I mean,
your shower
use
water.
your gray water, keep your shower water. Like, there's a million different things that we could be doing that we're totally not. I'm laughing at Kelly's comment about asshole golfer Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson with the man boobs. I totally believe that he said that.
What did he say? Said that
he said because he pays more for the water, he should be able to use more water.
Fuck him.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, the disconnect is real. It's these are the same people who say that they're fighting for environmental rights, but they have to do so by going on their private jet, to have a meeting.
Right.
We have technology, so you don't have to do that.
You could be on a Zoom.
Well, if they were using technology to actually help fix these solutions, then that would be something. But they're not. Here I got this comment over here on Rokfin. I want to hear your reaction to this. It says, 30 years ago, when I was at Lake Powell, a man-made lake, water diverted into a dry valley with walls that constantly soak water. I was told that water was seeping into the rock and sediment was accumulating at constant, and this end was well known over 30 years ago. Because this isn't just here. I know that there is multiple places where this is going on, where they've been pumping water out to these man-made places and just literally wasting water. It's just going into the sediment. It's just disappearing. Steve says it's all pasta. It's all pasta's fault.
Totally.
We know.
They're in
We know
Vegas,
that.
so yeah.
That's why they went to Vegas, to make it worse. That's what.
Yeah. See, exactly. They probably own an Aquaphor. Those guys. I mean, they got a nice studio, so they probably can afford an Aquaphor. I don't know.
They're stealing water out there.
Just kidding.
You heard it here first.
We're breaking. They're never gonna ask us back again.
It's literally they take water in like giant blocks of ice so that they can use more water on purpose.
Of course.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh, we're so screwed, guys. What are we gonna do? Oh,
yeah.
Well, this is what I try to tell people. Like, I won't say the names of some of the people, but a lot of people always say that I'm a pessimist, and I'm like, okay, I'll take. I prefer saying that instead of a pessimist, or I get it. Some people are idealists. I used to be an idealist. Now I prefer just being a realist. Like, if I'm dealing with a situation where Kimbo Slice and Mike Tyson decided that I pissed them off for some reason and they're going to beat the shit out of me, I don't have any illusion in my head that somehow I'm going to win this battle. I've lost. That's just what it is. And, and I think that people are not paying attention to the gravity of the situations that we're dealing with.
Yes.
You like that one, Chris?
Yeah, they cannot seem to grasp it.
No,
I mean, that's
it was just.
You getting that?
No, it's just funny how you said No, it's funny when you said I've lost. I'm like, I'm picking up the phone. I'm picking a phone call. I'm like, yo, come help.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, we're screwed.
Yeah, no, I'm not fighting those guys because you're right. You will lose.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember this one comedian. He was like, "So what happens?" I'm gonna save that joke. That's a bad joke. I'm gonna just save it. I mean, I don't want to get myself canceled just yet. I'll save it for a little later in the show.
No, okay, gotcha. Okay.
See, they already canceled me. They already come to get my ass.
Exactly, they're coming for you. Yeah, that's funny that you say that though, because people say that to me a lot too. That, or well, both of us, I guess. Yeah, like that we're too pessimistic, and I'm just like, I just like to deal with reality. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, reality is sad, like a lot of the time. I don't know. Oh, I don't know how to be more chipper, but we're
and I'm not.
I guess now, sure.
I tell people, I'm like, the last voting cycle, I was a Bernie supporter. I was trying to be positive and trying to hope, even though at that point I already felt like, dude, this system is so corrupted. But if he can get in, and if he could just get one of any of those things accomplished, and we can even get it halfway decent, they can make a difference for some people. But we thought that it was a possibility, but we knew that was just. I mean, I should have knew that for one, there's no way he could get in office. Two, if he got in the office, there's no way he could get anything done. So I'm like, Dale says Marcus is going to be a Rokfin refugee sooner than later. Well, here's the thing. At the rate that I'm going, I've done the math, Dale. In 2 months, we'll probably have more subscribers on Rokfin than we have, me and Chris, I have on the Political Matrix and the What We've Been Thinking channel combined. And I've been doing content for over 3 years on YouTube.
Wow. I mean, yeah, YouTube's algorithm only serves corporatism and bigger channels. And like, you can really see, and when you fall asleep with YouTube on and they just play stuff, things you're not subscribed to, I always get Jordan Peterson shit. Like, I've never watched it, but for some reason, always
keeps coming up. PragerU always coming
up. Like, it's very like it seems to be an agenda that they definitely.
I'm still getting status quo, and I unsubscribed from him like a year ago.
You can watch one video one time and then you'll be suggested all their videos, but then you subscribe to somebody and you don't see any of their videos. It's so ridiculous.
I had to literally block the Daily Show. I'm like, I never wanted to see this shit. And they still just kept sending it to me over and over and over. I had to turn the autoplay off because I got tired of fucking Trevor Noah's.
Usually, but
I used to
most of the time for me,
but man. Oh, sorry, Chris.
No, I was gonna say most of the time for me, they were just trying to funnel us right back to like ABC, NBC, and shit like that.
That's
after it runs for a while. Like if you're watching some kind of like news related program and it's unrelated to anything the mainstream is talking about, and as soon as that video is over, you're giving me Jake Tapper, I'm always confused. Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, that happens a lot.
I never searched it. Because here's the thing: I don't type in ABC, CNN, Jake Tapper, any of these people.
Right.
I never search for them. So where you getting it from? I don't talk about them. Why are you putting it in my feed? So it's clearly you know what it is.
They're trying to run the show off the rails already. Slow news day. Talking about Marcus, start drinking. No. We're not getting drunk, Uncle Marcus, tonight.
No, we're on our best behavior today.
Yeah.
Denver says, I just looked at the linear scale growth and trajectory of global reported monkeypox cases. Real or fake cases, regardless, they are making another play at scaring the public with monkeypox as we see mask mandates and all the other back steps returning. Well, here's the interesting thing about monkeypox. It's affecting one community in particular.
The
monkey?
Yeah, I mean, for the majority of it,
I don't think so.
It's hitting. Well, this is what they reported. I don't know if it's changed since then because I haven't kept up with it, but it was hitting a certain particular group, gay males.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think that's a lie, though. I think that's a lie. I think that is where they are seeing it, but I have seen other cases where women or people who don't fit that profile have symptoms, but they won't treat them. So I feel like
they're just making it an agenda towards gay men.
Kind of.
At this point, I don't rule nothing out. Nothing is ruled out from me because I've caught so many lies. Yes.
Already?
Yeah, they do because that was one of the issues I was looking at. Like a gay black man who lives like in Queens or the Bronx or something. They were like, why are all these white guys here and they've got all the appointments for the vaccines, but none of us who actually live here have any of the appointments for the vaccine.
Yeah.
Shady.
I mean, also, I don't rule out that certain things happen so certain things can happen to certain groups of people. Is that vague enough for everybody to still understand what I'm saying?
I think I'm in the ballpark.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I give YouTube this. It has taught us how to be really, really good at being careful and still say what we want to say without being as direct. Because, geez Louise, I mean, outside of like being rounded up like they do in some of these other countries, I mean, the level of censorship is to the same level of a China, North Korea, any of these countries. So I don't know what to say there.
Gosh, I feel like we got to practice, I guess, we don't know what the words.
We've not been doing good at that at all. We've just been saying whatever we want and
we're like,
and then just wait until it goes to the copyright thing and kind of deal with it after that. But then again, a lot of our stuff is only like limited monetization, of course.
Oh, they're never letting us get monetized. They're like, "Ooh, we can't let these niggas get no money."
Well, we keep trying to trick them though, because we're like, oh, we'll do a clothing haul thing or something. You gotta.
But really, we're talking about. So they're pulling your stuff even though you're not monetized yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're not close to being monetized. They
even.
Chris, how many like I'm not talking about copyright strikes. How many strikes have we got? We've got probably total like
down. Even look, we did this early on. We did this deep dive on Fauci. I thought it was actually pretty good. Yo, I got a call the next morning, like 8, 9 o'clock. Like, I went to look for your episode from last night and it's gone. I was like, what? That's whenever I search myself. Oh shit, it's gone. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
they've literally cut our video like view counts in half also. Like we've been sitting there like, oh, this video's doing pretty good. And I've like screenshotted it. The next morning at that time, like 160 subscribers. The video's at almost 400
and it's
views.
Weird
and all of a sudden we look up and it's 130 views.
Wow.
Martin, real quick, I don't suffer from delusions of grandeur and think like, oh yeah, we really on to something here. A lot of other people were talking about this very same thing, but across the board, it was happening to a lot of people. Whether people realized it or not, right at the start of this whole mess, with all this virus nonsense, you could just see they went into lockstep. I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
So
that's a huge issue. Like, I don't think that. We were talking about monkeypox here again. Like, I don't think that the public is at a place where they're gonna accept much, because the way that Biden handled COVID was even worse than how Trump did. And we got less information and things just kind of went way willy-nilly. And I just feel like the fact that so many things that people had legitimate concerns about were flagged, were called bigoted, were said that they were, white supremacy, QAnon, all kinds of different things.
Platform.
When then you turn around a few months later, they would turn out to be accurate. The fact, I think people are not going to stand for being silenced like that again. And I think therefore more difficult to control. And I think that people, if they had been more honest with people, I think people would maybe be more receptive. But now people feel like you've lied to us. Some people lost their livelihoods because they talked about truths. That's really difficult to take back for some people. A lot of people, and then with the lockdowns, the way that they did it, we already see who benefited from it. Mainly the wealthy, and all of these small businesses closed, but Amazon got to stay open, but Walmart got to stay open. But now all these places that's why we had to leave LA, because everything closed.
Exactly.
Well, the movie, what was it? The Hollywood industry, a lot of that, the movie making stuff, I was able to get back up and running when they were still keeping a lot of small businesses down. Like, if you walk down the Walk of Fame now, it is like pathetic. I would say easily 50% of the businesses are shut down now.
Wow, I believe it.
It's like a ghost town. I remember getting here in 2017, and I was like, "Wow, this is cool." Now it's like,
2017
this is it.
was even.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm sure it was probably not that great then, but compared to now, literally now, all over the city, everywhere you go, you see homelessness everywhere. You drive past overpass, now you just got homeless encampments, literally, on every other one. And it doesn't matter what part of the city. You go to Santa Monica, you go to not in the Bel Air or anything like that, but it's certain parts of Hollywood, Culver City, all those areas, it's all over the place. And so what they do is they like take Skid Row and they just kind of move the people around whenever events come in. You guys know how they do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they did for the Super Bowl,
The Super Bowl,
and it's just it's
so tragic.
It's fucked up because people pay a lot of taxes there, and people
Mm-hmm.
want the money to go to actually helping homeless people. That's
Yep.
like, but then when you
Right.
look at behind the scenes, a lot of the money and it ends up going to contractors because they're friends with the person, and they're just I
Right,
mean,
and they'll
they
get
make nothing.
Yeah, they get terrible bids and they build these little houses that are like way overpriced. I mean, and they do like all these little kind of Band-Aid projects, and like they built those little houses in like a parking garage. It's like, no, just make like places where people can actually live. Like you have the resources, you
Or
could do it.
Or they could have made laws that actually would have protected people during the pandemic
From getting evicted.
or helped them in some way to pay it back, or forgiven people's mortgages, therefore forgiving people's rent, something like that. Because as a regular worker, how are you ever supposed to pay that back rent? I mean, we can barely
Right.
get ahead now as it is. Most people can't pay their rent now with their full-time job. So now you're supposed to pay back rent after you forced us to be away from our jobs. And it's just I don't know what's going on with the monkeypox thing, but I think
Well, I just think that they want to have another pandemic. And no matter if it's something that's actually going on or something that they can make seem worse, because the pharmaceutical industry was like, damn, we made such a killing. Our stock prices are up. We need to find some way to maintain that. And so remember, they had the alopecia stuff, which they start pushing, for a little while. And it's kind of interesting that, Jada Pinkett is like a sponsor for alopecia, and then you have the whole Chris Rock talking about her baldness, and I mean,
Jada Pinkett Smith was bald before we knew she had alopecia.
Exactly. She just always wore her hair like that. I mean,
what? That was so crazy.
Well, that's the reason why on here we question if it was real or not, or if it was staged.
Yeah,
right.
So
Because
you're
why
saying
would
it had something to do with Big Pharma?
Because why would she be so offended when the Black community, we've celebrated her. She has a perfect head for it. It's very rare that you would have a nice head to be able to even rock that style. We've always had her back with that, and then all of a sudden now we can't make a joke.
Well, and people have always been like, it doesn't matter. Jada Pinkett with hair, with wig, with bald is still more attractive than a lot of women.
Right? And she's still Jada Pinkett. Come on,
right?
You're still Jada fucking Pinkett. Come on now, chill out, man. This is, and then I'm like, will you actually, in my opinion, like I heard some people saying, oh, well, he's defending his wife. No, you just look like a little bitch.
He looked like he was controlled by his wife to me, but
because now if he would have ran up on The Rock and slapped The Rock when he said that, then that's a little different. You slap Chris Rock, come on, you slap the dude who's played a crackhead in I don't know how many movies. That makes you tough.
He is like a skinny guy, but I felt like I could understand, and I understand why a lot of Black women were like, no, don't say anything about it because this is a husband standing up for Black women. I think that Black women, we just don't see anybody stand up for us very much. So to interpret it in that way is really nice, but I don't know if that's exactly what.
That's what I'm saying. That's a nice sentiment, but I look at it like this. Okay, let's take somebody smaller. Let's say Seth Green. Seth Green said that shit. Would he have ran up there and slapped Seth Green?
No, I said immediately. I said if that had been a white comedian, he would not have touched him.
And that's the thing. The fact that we know that, and plenty of people say, you know what, that's perfectly fine that he goes up there and slaps another Black man. And I heard some people say, oh well, we're scared that we did it in front of white people. But no, it's not that. It's the fact of if you wouldn't slap an Asian man, a white man, an Indian man, anybody else, but you're ready to run up there and slap another Black man, what does that say there?
But see, but that was my issue about them doing it in front of white people, because not because of what they might think, but it's like, then if I don't have a problem with you slapping or any of that shit, sometimes you have to fight. But then why, if you know you wouldn't do it to another ethnicity, then don't do it publicly. Then that should be a private matter. Right. That's where I think the line should have been. Like, go ahead and beat his ass backstage. I mean,
because if I'm Will Smith, that's what would have happened. I would have gave him that little, that little smirk, like,
right, like I'll see you later.
I got your ass later.
He was gonna walk up to him and like pat him on the face and be like, okay. because that would be way scarier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's that I'm gonna see you after school shit.
You got right close. And he said, I'll see you later.
Right. Yeah.
And everybody would have been
I mean,
cheering for him, but then you don't know what happened.
Right.
You know?
It's like, I'm Will Smith. What am I getting up for? Like, my name rings bells already. Like, get your joke off. The goons to get you, or I'll get you, when nobody's watching. That whole production was just, and again, like I said, Chris Rock is like 5'4", 100.
No, he's not that little. He's actually like 5'11". He's like 5'11".
He's tall, but he's skinny.
No, I know.
He's like
but I'm just saying,
like 155.
He didn't even move. He didn't move when Will hit him. That's how.
Because did you see how he hit
should
him?
have backed up or something.
That was the weirdest slapping motion I've ever seen. That was the weirdest slapping motion ever. Like he slapped him like there was no wrist motion in that slap or nothing. I'm like, have you ever slapped anybody before, Will? I mean,
it was more of a mall kind of like.
Yeah, it was like, let me smush you. It wasn't really a slap. Like,
yeah, you need some. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
And me, I probably would have. If it's somebody that much smaller than you that you can beat the shit out of, that is not going to punch you back. That's like what somebody said. If you punch somebody that won't punch you back, then you're just a bully at that point. Now, me, if I'm going to do it to somebody that much smaller, give me a little flavor. Give me that backhand instead.
God,
really emasculating.
Yeah, that would have.
That would have been.
Lord,
that would have been it. That would have been.
Can you imagine? Oh,
emasculating.
Wow.
Emasculating.
I would have loved that more because it would have just been more entertaining.
But Marcus, you guys were talking about monkeypox, right? But then didn't Gates last year also say the Marburg virus is on the rise, or isn't that something else to be on the lookout for? And I think I saw a story where somewhere in Africa, there's cases of Marburg virus.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's just another case of they told us what's coming. We choose to ignore it or not listen. And when it's here in front of us, it's like, oh my God. A lot of people tend to panic. And then, we repeat the same fucking cycle. It's crazy. You're just watching it over and over and over again. And you're going to watch people keep injecting themselves with all kind of shit. But you want to tell me I'm crazy because I smoke? Man, get out of here.
Right. You can't have it both ways. If you believe in vaccines, then you have to believe in marijuana too.
Yeah,
I mean, because that's natural.
Like,
okay. That's proven.
Holistic medicine, they call it. Thank you very much.
Shit. Like, no. We're not going there.
Let's
Leave
see,
me alone.
Spade
Look,
is
you
in
know
the
what?
building. Hey,
You got
Spade.
your method. I got mine. Leave me alone. I'm not going to try to convince you not to. I'm not going to tell you to go look nothing up, do no research. We did that 2 years ago, and we did it for too long. And my stance
We got
is
into
you can't
much
save
trouble.
everybody.
We got into much trouble with that. So it's like I think we got tired of fighting that battle. Like I literally just gave out the population of America according to government statistics. I gave the actual amount of people who die according to the CDC's numbers, and I did the percentage. That alone got me a strike and got the video taken down.
Dang.
All I did was give them information. I'm like, so which part of this is wrong? Is the population of America, is that part wrong? Is the amount of people who died, is that part wrong?
Right.
That's what's so infuriating when they don't give you the reason. I just can't stand that. And
they told me that was misinformation, but they wouldn't tell me what was wrong.
then you have to prove how it's misinformation. Like you
Right,
have to come with the fact then. And gosh, that's so
But
bananas.
Let's see. I got one here.
They
Denver,
treated us
Denver
like children, like how our parents would do us, right? Go sit down. For what? I said go sit down.
Because I said so.
Because I said so.
Yeah.
Denver has a good one. Says they could announce it was airborne to do so, even though monkeypox isn't and would not be very dangerous if it was. They've tested monkeypox aerosolization since 2013. 2013, they achieved 90-hour max aerosolization time frame for pox. So I guess what they're alluding to, Denver's alluding to there is if news came out that monkeypox is now, in the air, Now everybody needs to rush out and get vaccinated.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't watch this stuff, you don't know it exists. It's so crazy. Like, if you live your life, you stay busy, you know, you try to find things of interest besides maybe this stuff. You're living without fear because you don't know what the fuck a monkeypox is.
Right.
You think it's probably a joke or some TikTok challenge or some dumb shit like that. You know, you just would never know.
Well, you know what's going on here. I mean, it's we all know it's a bunch of crazy games, and so I mean, it just is what it is, and we got to deal with the censorship, and that's the reason why I advise everybody, every content creator out there, if you can, diversify into as many platforms as possible.
Yeah.
Because I already know it's going to come a point where that next purge they have here on YouTube, it's probably going to get rid of mostly all of us on YouTube who are doing independent commentary and who are speaking, you know, our own opinions and thoughts. And so I say, make sure you follow your favorite content creators. You know, make sure you're following the Banks sisters. I know that they're over on Rokfin also, so give them some love.
Yeah, we're over
Isn't this an election year?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we
and
can
on Instagram.
probably
I follow you both on Instagram too.
So we could say probably you could probably say in the next 90 days or so, there'll probably be a little bit more of a purge, considering that you can't have election misinformation anymore.
Yeah, gotta watch out.
Well,
for
they gotta protect us from the Russians.
Well, yes and no.
It'll be the
Normally, I
Russians.
would agree with you, but because this is not going to be a presidential election, and it's going to be primaries, and Democrats don't vote in the primaries. So since they're not going to vote in the primaries for the most part, I don't think they're going to be as nervous. Democrats don't do their homework, period. They just go, okay, who did we vote for last year, honey? Oh, we voted for Jones. Okay, click Jones. Or they're just going to be whoever has a D next to their name. D, R. That's as far as it's going to go. But when it goes presidential election, that's where we're going to see that massive purge. So I say 2023.
We've got time.
Okay.
That's when I see it coming. That's when they're going to really come for us.
Hey, speaking of Democrats, did you see your girl AOC pretend to be handcuffed earlier this week?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What was
What
she
is wrong
thinking?
with you?
But
I'm embarrassed to say like that's my home district. Like it's sad to say that. Like I'm gonna just stop fronting.
You should. I mean, at least she kept her invisible cuffs on the whole time. I mean, somebody said it best. It was like that invisible cop, that invisible guy who's always on stage with Joe Biden. He's always trying to shake his hand. That's who arrested AOC.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. Oh my God, it makes so much sense now. Yeah, he's always there. The invisible cop.
You see, Omar. She broke her cuffs from the invisible person. She's like, hey, what's up?
Well, AOC did too. AOC.
She broke hers too.
Yeah. Just for a
Man.
second, just for, and then right back down.
What do they say? We are here. We are women. Hear me roar. Hey, it's that power. Breaking them invisible cuffs.
It's an invisible glass ceiling too.
I mean, and then Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar followed her walking the same way, where her arms behind her back, and they said that, like what politics is for like the ugly actors. I mean, it's for the dumb ones too, because I mean, could have even put on fake fucking handcuffs, something like. If we're gonna role play, let's role play.
They couldn't decide.
What the hell are we doing here?
They couldn't decide which picture they really wanted because they knew that they needed. I mean, they're not going to come out there twice, so they got the hands behind the back photo and they got a black power fist photo. Because so then they only had to go out there one time for those campaign and then they had the text ready to go.
That's how you batch create content. You just keep it going. See, you cut it, and then now you got 3 videos.
Did you
very excellent?
I'm sorry, y'all see me laughing. Slow News Day is over here being a fool on Rokfin. That's what I'm saying, man. Y'all need to keep I got them both going. So if you guys see me staring over the screen, that's why I'm doing this and I'm pulling video. So I'm the I don't know what they call them. I'm the operator, monitor, whatever that guy is.
Producer.
Yeah, and they're talking about I just gotta read this to y'all. Y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself over there. So my money's on Hollywood built Cerebro for real and Jada's Professor X. Oh my goodness! Somebody needs to make a meme of Jada as Professor X right now, please. Go make that meme. Get it ready.
It's Professor X in the little.
DC is Hollywood for ugly people, LARPers. But a serious story, real quick. What's going on? Because we talked about the droughts, and I mean, I guess we're having a free flowing conversation. So hey, we're on it for a moment. We hop on, we hop back on, whatever. But for real, like this Lake Mead stuff is a big deal, and it is going to affect a lot of communities faster than you know it. So, in all honesty, I tell people to get ready to get the heck out of Dodge as fast as possible. Have an escape plan. Buy as much bottled water as whatever. Because if you just think, oh well, I'm just in California, I'm just in Vegas, and that's the only areas to be affected, you're massively wrong. If you're in Arizona, if you're in New Mexico, if you're even all the way up to Utah,
parts of Utah.
I mean, Iowa, or not Iowa, Idaho, but this is literally part of the Colorado Valley River Basin. So this is literally going to affect the water all the way up into the Midwest too. So for people who don't think this is a big deal, this could have a ripple effect across the whole country. So I just wanted to throw that last part out there. I think they said the river, just so we can kind of keep this in mind, the levels. This is drop. Wait a minute. I want to make sure I don't screw this up. I think it was 170 feet is how much it's dropped. Yes, 170 feet. That is dropped since, was it 2016 or 2017, something like that? So
increasingly rapidly. And that's the thing with what you're saying. I think people should really consider when you're talking about moving. You might want to, if you're thinking about the cost now and it being high, that could be true, and that is true. But everything is continuing to get exponentially higher, and just think about having to pay for water on top of that, because that's what it will get to. They'll just start charging for water, for your right to even have access to it, and that's going to be a rich person's game.
Yep. Well, that's what Savvy covered. I think maybe 4 or 5 months ago that Bill Gates bought like the water that was going to a couple of the native tribes out of, I want to say, Mississippi. I'm not sure. Don't beat me up if I'm wrong on exactly which state, but I know it was like Mississippi or Louisiana. I think it was Louisiana.
Okay.
And then also you have Mark Cuban, who just bought a whole town. He says he doesn't know what he's going to do with the town, but they're already starting to show their hand on what they're doing. And BlackRock, we almost need to have a segment every week for just what the hell BlackRock's doing.
Oh my God, totally.
Jeez, it's scary.
I mean, people don't want to know what BlackRock's doing, because once you start delving into that, like we did a thing on them too, and it's like, oh God, once you start researching that, you're just like, oh, well, just forget it.
We're screwed. But it's not just BlackRock. It's like, I mean, so many other investment firms. That one Carlyle Group, that's the other one that I find really scary, and Biden has ties to it, as well as our governor, Glenn Youngkin. And those firms can do whatever they want, and they are.
Yep. Like you said, them, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. I'd say Berkshire Hathaway. That's another one to worry about. I mean, right now, all of the investment bankers are like, it almost seems like somebody got the call, like we're all at a house party, and somebody got the call like, yo, somebody's coming to spray up the party and kill everybody, but you can't tell anybody. Just sneak off with the silverware and try to take out, the money out of the walls and stuff without everybody noticing. Let's start packing up and getting the hell out of here before shit goes down.
Yeah,
and
that's totally what it feels like.
That's what it really looks like. Like I hear all these people saying, "Oh, well, we're gonna have our revolution and we're gonna do this." And, okay, do you want to take over like the abandoned building? Is that and run the burn down abandoned building? Because that's what it looks like is going to be the reality.
Yeah.
At the time when, and like I did my video not that long ago. I know the ones out in the audience, they know, but I think you two should check out my my Armed Revolutionaries, Are You Sure video. Okay. Because I just went into like some of the stuff they have planned for crowd control and for crowd control and things like that, protesters. Mm-hmm. I didn't even go into the full list I could have really went into for if they want to use like lethal weapons to actually take everybody down, just like some of the dispersionary stuff and some of the spyware stuff. I can go a whole category on all the spyware stuff. So when they're trying to plan these insurrections, they're literally going to be waiting for you. And as soon as you come over that hill, you're going to be like, oh shit, we're fucked. So unless you are, some of these people are literally ready to lay down their lives. And I don't mean some, I mean like a massive amount of you are going to die in this process.
Right, yeah.
Just know that that's going to happen, whether you win or lose. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say that.
Americans are too soft.
Well,
way too soft.
I mean, we got here through violence, so I don't know why everyone thinks we're going to be able to sing in the streets and solve things. But
when we're going to talk about this soon, but when we're literally arguing about, well, somebody used this term which they called me, and it hurts me, and that hurt feels the same as violence. If that's the kind of people who are going to try to fight this revolution, good luck. Good fucking luck.
I mean, yeah. Oh man, that's a good way to put it.
Words hurt you so badly that you need to go and shut down and try to protest and do all this crazy stuff, and that's what gets you fired up. Not the fact that you're losing rights, that people are being evicted, all these things like that. I mean, I'm not going to go into the abortion thing tonight, but I just say the fact of that's what got people to the streets in general, and not all this other stuff should tell you like what's really going on here. Here I got a video I wanted to show real quick because I was talking about like this. Like we're on this kind of yipper.
Yeah, I love that yipper.
While we got all this this climate change stuff going on. Yipper. Let's check this out real quick.
From unprecedented and lethal heat waves, extraordinary and prolonged, showing signs of what lies ahead. There have been nearly 2,000 deaths due to heat and wildfires in the past few days. Transportation across the continent has been disrupted and thousands have been displaced. At least 6 countries have declared states of emergency or red warnings. These countries are the worst hit: France, Greece, Portugal, Spain, the UK, and Italy. Hundreds of all-time records have been broken and new ones are being created. One especially dangerous aspect of the current heat wave is how warm it has been after the sunset. The UK just broke the record for the hottest temperature recorded at night. The recent heat is leading scientists to rethink just how quickly extreme temperatures could arrive. As Europe feels the heat, politicians are sweating. The French Prime Minister, the French President has announced that France will have to buy more water bombers to tackle the raging fires.
Est-ce qu'il faut en avoir davantage? La réponse est de manière à peu près sûre, oui. Ça pose 2 choses. Un, c'est une réflexion européenne qu'il faut avoir. Je le dis d'autant plus que c'est l'Europe qui paye nos nouveaux moyens. On a développé une stratégie européenne, je l'ai portée, c'est la France qui en a pris l'initiative, mais je le dis pour toutes celles et ceux qui parfois critiquent l'Europe, l'Europe paye 100% de nos moyens actuels, les nouveaux qu'on achète. Donc l'Europe a du bon, mais il faut en acheter plus, mais il faut le faire aussi en européen.
France reported record temperatures in 64 different areas. The wine-growing Gironde region saw its biggest wildfires in over 30 years. The fires have spread across over 20,000 hectares in the countryside surrounding Bordeaux since the 12th of July and forced 37,000 people to evacuate their homes. However, the country has reported slight improvement in the heat conditions. The wildfire evacuees have been spending days in emergency shelters Dozens of these evacuees were rescued from the campsites, escaping wildfires and thick smoke. Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, at least 13 people have died while swimming, 7 of them teenage boys. Hot weather that sparked the wildfires, damaged train tracks, and triggered warnings. The London Fire Brigade has said that it is the busiest day since World War II. Fires have destroyed at least 41 properties in the capital and torched tinderbox dry grassland at the sides of the railway tracks and the roads. However, forecasters have predicted a much cooler day soon with outbreaks of rain later. Meanwhile, in Spain, the military emergency unit struggled with wildfires across the country. The roads were surrounded by flames and making efforts overnight to control the fires. These images showing soldiers building firewalls with a digger and using water to extinguish the fires burning vegetation on the mountains. Spain has been struggling with extreme heat for 10 days now, and it is the third longest since records began. Pedro Sanchez visited the municipality of Ateca, where a fire has burned 14,000 hectares of land in the last 2 days, forcing the evacuation of around 2,000 people. This after he said that more than 500 people have died due to heat in the country. More than 30 wildfires continue to ravage parts of Spain, with authorities paying special attention to 4 blazes. On to Italy now. Firefighters continue to battle with the flames as a fire rages in the hills of Massa Rosa. Local authorities have confirmed that 650 hectares of forest burnt and 300 people have been forced to evacuate to date. As per the firefighters, only 70% of the fire is currently under control. Meanwhile, numerous wildfires continue to burn in the northern part of the country, and red alerts have been issued in several cities across the country. Fires that broke out in Italy spread to the Kras region in neighboring Slovenia. 4 villages in the region are in danger of being affected by the flames, and due to this, residents of these villages were urged to evacuate. Firefighters from across the country have been deployed to the affected areas. We are now available.
Oh, you're on mute. You didn't mean it yourself.
Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, that's what I was saying, that it's not only just here. Like, we literally had what was going on in Sri Lanka last week. That same site, like I could bring up clips and show it, but I'm not going to do that for time purposes. But that's literally what's going on in Panama right now. That's literally what's going on in Ecuador right now. Mm-hmm. We have record temps going across the country. We have droughts that are going on, and we have high massive temps and wildfires going on. And then we still have people who are saying, we don't need to really worry about that. We need to somebody put it out there in the chat. We need to focus on Russia and Ukraine. Mm-hmm. They need to be trying to wind that shit down. And while all these countries have all these issues going on, we're still worried about, let's just funnel billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine.
I mean, that's also totally, completely compounding the issues that we have with the environment. And if they want to have all of these dumb environmental COP26 and this and that, but they don't include any emissions from war in their emissions counts. Mm-hmm. So it's for nothing. America's military is the biggest polluter in the world, but you're not going to count that. So then this is a farce. This is for nothing. I mean, it's bullshit. And then they just do all these drills, because then now we're at war. Now we got to do drills. Now we got to throw a bomb in the ocean because we got to see what that does.
Let's see what it does. Let's just check it out.
I mean, and I think somebody in the comment was saying there was something, I don't know exactly what it was, but kind of talking about how we have to change our behaviors. But I mean, like, quite frankly, like, we are at the point we do have to change our behaviors. Like, we have things like frequent flyer miles. We shouldn't have that. You shouldn't be able to just go wherever the hell you want to. I'm sorry, but there are going to have to be restrictions, because we have to let the world heal. And we're just using it literally.
Or the world will heal us. The world will be like, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't want, okay. Let's get some more fires going. Let's get some volcanoes going. Okay, more tornadoes. I'm gonna start wiping you. I'm gonna start wiping you mofos out.
Like a cold. She is literally shaking us off like a cold. She is ready to get us out of here. We're making her sick, and rightfully so. We do not appreciate the earth at all, and it is crazy that, and that's why, like, with a lot of this January 6th stuff and all of that, I think that that's a waste of time. Like,
completely.
We want to talk about a democracy, but
know what happened.
We're letting corporations run rampant with how we treat the earth. If there's an oil spill, we the taxpayers have to pay for cleaning it up, but then we're also subsidizing those oil companies,
right?
And then they get to buy back their stocks. None of this makes sense, but nobody's stepping in to do anything about it. It's infuriating, and this is what the news should be focusing on, because I think not enough people see how interconnected these things also will be. I mean, we get crops from all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, and still look, now you start messing with these white people and their wine, you're gonna have a problem. So luckily the fires hit Bordeaux, so maybe we'll have some action go in. But I mean, I just think it's so interesting. Like people have been. I remember when I was like just out of college, and I saw this like amazing movie about climate refugees. And I was like, this is it. This is going to solve everything. People are going to get it once they see that, like, everyone's houses are burned down. And now where do we go? And now we have to split up our resources again. There was the nation of Tuvalu is literally people were like walking and driving in like water up to their knees. And New Zealand and Australia were like, I don't know if we can take you. And then I think New Zealand was like, well, we'll take people like under 30 if you're able to prove you can be gainfully employed. But then that just leaves everybody else just to drown on this island. Like I thought, you know what, this is gonna come out, and people are really gonna, now you can literally not find this video anywhere. You can't, it was definitely released, and then now you can't find it anywhere. And I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but where are all these people gonna go now that their houses burned down? Right. That's it. Over multiple countries, like all across Europe. That's a lot of people. Where are they going?
Well, and I guess I got to put this disclaimer out there so I'm not hiding the ball. Those who really know me, you guys know I'm a faith person. I'm always deep into prophecy and all that. So I believe all this stuff is going to happen. I believe just buckle up for what's coming. The elites and powers that be are too stupid, too prideful, too arrogant to change anything. And so it's kind of like somebody saying, you're going to hit that tree. And they're like, no, I'm not. And they keep ignoring the people who are next to them saying you're going to hit the tree. And so what happens is they take all of us into the tree. And I've just been more resolved to understand that's what's coming. Now, it's a little bit more complex than that, but I just want to put that out there that I'm just trying to warn everybody from my own lens to try to prepare for when we hit the tree. Because it's a reason why Kamala, one of the dumbest politicians of all time, is one of the only people who were talking about, water wars. Why is she talking about that? Because she knows something that a lot of you guys may not know or may not think is relevant right now. And it's because if you're already getting a check from the people who start these water wars, she's getting the check from the people who are going to start these water wars, and then she knows it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Not that she's so wise or intelligent.
I'm sure she's already invested in water futures for sure.
and I mean, they all learned from Pelosi very well how to do this game.
God, yeah.
I mean, speaking of Pelosi, she's in trouble right now. Her husband trading on more shit, and it's like,
no, she's not in trouble. She's actually not in trouble.
Right? Yeah.
She literally is gonna go live her life.
She's getting a soft talking to.
People said, "Hey, did you maybe do some insider trading?" And she goes,
"No."
Where is Martha Stewart? Martha Stewart needs to come out against her. That would really do something,
Martha Stewart paid her debt to society.
Yeah, if I was Martha Stewart, I would be pissed, and I would be out in the streets saying, "Lock her up." This woman's got to go away.
Yep. And the thing, if Martha Stewart did.
I'd be banging on bacon if I was Martha Stewart.
If it was Martha Stewart, more than likely, you would get some of these white liberal elites to actually do something, because they don't listen to certain groups of people, but they listen to others. And that's the reason why, I remember somebody made this fuck Trump song. and they were, I think YG, and a lot of people in the hood, they were mad. Oh well, we've been saying this. Yes, they don't listen to us. Keep that in mind. When what's his name, Eminem came out and did it, then everybody's like, you know what? Yeah, Trump is a problem. Fuck Trump. That's what it takes. That's the reason why I'm not even gonna hide my secret. On some of my videos, which I do when I'm trying to prove stuff, I literally find videos where I can find as many people who don't look like me who produce the same damn information. Because they'll be like, you know what? Oh, wait a minute. That makes sense now. Because you guys don't listen to people of color. Let's just be honest. I'm not saying our audience. I'm not inundating you guys, but I'm talking about the population as a whole. That's the reason why all these freaking white YouTubers always fly to the top in subscriptions. When
they don't even
So
have
easy.
to say anything. They offer hardly any
No
nuance.
context,
They very
no.
rarely have diverse work experience, life experiences.
Yep.
Anything that they're bringing to the table, except for that they know theory or that they went to college. So let me tell you my experience. It's like the ego, the ego, the narcissism, the absolute. No, they are not pushed to offer anything more, and they are rewarded almost immediately.
Right.
Almost immediately.
Yeah, look at their watch numbers.
Look at their watch hours, and then literally listen to what they're saying. Nothing. Most of the time, bullshit.
Absolutely nothing.
If it was a black YouTuber saying what Vouch is saying, he would already be taken off of the internet.
Gone.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine a grown black man talking about pedophilia, different reasons why that would be okay and why we should change laws and
Bestiality also.
See,
I mean, come on.
Videos about
And why is that
geckos on
even
his dick.
why
Come
is
on,
that
really?
even a topic if you're not condemning it? I don't even understand.
Oh well, because there's many sides to that issue, but other issues don't have many sides.
No, there's
It's
no
very
sides.
confusing to keep up.
There's no sides to that issue.
I need to share this also. Slow News Day says YouTube is removing prepper videos. So keep that in mind.
No way.
Why are they trying to get rid of prepper videos? Come on, they know what's coming, y'all. They're just not trying to let you know.
Right.
Look, they said we got to download these videos, kid.
yeah, we got to. Yeah, because we have them on saved in our watch later, but then they're going to be gone. So we better download them.
Well, make sure you watch them, screen record them, download them, whatever you need to do, because there's plenty of videos that I'll put in my watch later, or I put in my my news to cover file, and I come back and it's like 4 videos unavailable. I'm like, why are these videos unavailable now?
Easy.
But Marcus, going back to real quick, Marcus, I did want to say this. Some months ago we covered the Project Veritas video that where dude was talking to the producer from CNN, and Dale made a comment in our chat tonight that made me think of it. Remember, the guy from CNN did say during that dinner or drinks, whatever it was, that they were going to pivot from COVID to climate change. And that was, quite some time ago. Sure enough, here we are right at it, right on time. What do you say? The public is getting bored. We know the public will get bored of COVID. We can't keep going on COVID. So we need something else. And here we are. And also, too, the other thing are all these shootings that have taken place in the last couple weeks. I mean, it's happening so frequently, you can't remember what city was who and how many died here. There's a lot of shit going on. And,
I also noticed that when the shootings did start up, if you notice, like COVID, people were getting kind of tired, quote unquote, of hearing about it. And then not to diminish any of the shootings that happened, but they were then covering shootings all day long, the entire day. They wouldn't switch back over to the news of the day. And this has happened multiple times because, our parents have seen on a lot. And, so then that way, forget about the news for that day. We're going to,
this is the news now. Yeah.
We're going to stay on this story the entire time, even though there are tons of other things. It's very interesting. Yeah. What they choose to focus on at certain points and where they try to divert your attention at other times.
Oh, shoot. Oh, sorry. I guess I didn't read the whole thing.
It's just all part of the psychological operation.
Find you's a hillbilly. That's what Steve. That's what So Newsday says. Find you a hillbilly or a redneck or a former military guy who's went through some survivalist training. Hey, everybody don't DM me. Not everybody.
No, it's okay. Our brother has a friend who's going to teach us how to skin a deer, so we're on track.
Well, me, I'll more than likely do more fishing, but you know that
could be useful.
Also, skin a deer. And then also another thing is how to test berries and different fruits and stuff and vegetables, and how to test to see if they're poisonous and things like that. So that's something that can also be helpful, because say for instance you plan to get the deer, but you know, just keep missing that sucker. So you might have to, you know, fend for yourself off the land, off of just vegetation for a while until you get, you know, something with some substance to it to meet. Also, another thing, I would advise people a natural way to make sure you can have water if you're not in the area. Find a place where it's snow, get towards the mountains, things like that. A lot of times there's going to be a lot more animal life in those areas. So just a tip I would add.
That sounds cold, son.
Hey, it's going to get to a point where
that sounds cold.
Temperature is going to be irrelevant. Temperature is going to be irrelevant. I'm sorry. A lot of these women out there with their MAC products, it's going to get rough. Just saying. I'm just putting it out there, being straight. There's going to be a lot of people revealed in them days.
No, they off the MAC.
It's going to be no time for Spanx.
They got the shades.
It's no time for Spanx.
I feel like that's why I've been getting like apocalypse ready. Like I feel like I got my eyes. That was my big expense, but like I really, really like have thought about it, and I have astigmatism. So you know, every year my eyes will just get worse and worse. Can't see anything without my glasses. And the price of my the price of my contacts went up over like COVID because of like shipping stuff. And I was like, dang, so I could just not be able to see. Just we don't make the product here. It's made in Sweden. Like, what if they just decided to not, you know, do? I was like, that's the one thing I want to get is my eyes fixed. So I use my credit cards for that. But because I was like, for the apocalypse, that's going to be key. That's going to be key. You can't get more contacts if you step on your glasses. That's it.
I'm in trouble.
And you always see somebody in those apocalypse movies with broken glasses. Always.
I know. Always. Yeah.
I mean, Lynch Crafter is getting robbed the moment shit happens.
Oh yeah.
I'm literally gonna have like a whole crate full of contact lenses just backed up. Somebody put out another good point. One of the prepper channels I follow, he said he doesn't only cover prepper stuff, but he said a good tip: get yourself accustomed to sauerkraut and certain canned goods which you know people don't like, and especially if you already like some of these things, sauerkraut, cabbage, beets, things like that.
Yeah.
Because when shit hits the fan, none of these people are going to steal that from you.
Good point. Yeah. They're going for the hot dogs in the can. They're not.
They're going for hot dogs, the raviolis, you know, beanie weenies. They're going for that stuff.
That's a good tip.
Ain't nobody. They're gonna pull over your little sheet and see like 4 crates of sauerkrauts and beets. Like, ooh, keep going. You know
exactly. Okay, good idea. I
already know Chris is gonna have a whole thing of Spam ready.
But yeah, you can have that.
Right. Yeah, right. I'm gonna die.
I was like, you're on your own.
I'm gonna be dead.
Spam and tuna.
No, I can't.
And recycled hot dog.
I got questions. Look, when I get there, I'm gonna ask him why you left me with Spam my last days. Like that was fucked up.
No. All right, so let's get to. I'm pretty sure the video, a lot of people, the conversation, a lot of people have wanted to get onto. Let's start a video. I got a video that I want to pull up to just get this started off. Yeah, let's pull this video up because I saw, as you two eloquently said, we're the only people who are on the left who were courageous enough to go in and start talking about this subject. So I decided that, you know what, we consider ourselves courageous also. So let's go into this. I'll let the clip do the talking, and then let's hear. I'll let the Banks sisters start off with their responses first. Let's see. This is just a little snippet from when they from Dr. Phil, when Matt Walsh went on Dr. Phil. I advise you, if you have not seen this, go see this whole clip. It's this whole conversation in this whole category is just spellbinding to me, I'll say. But let's pull up the Dr. Phil. Let me see. Is it all the way up? Okay, yeah.
Throw out to other members of the panel, actually, because another question I would like to throw out to other members of the panel, actually, just like the 4-year-old can answer, what is a girl? Well, this is one of the problems with this left-wing gender ideology, is that no one who espouses it can even tell you what these words mean. Like, what is a woman?
Well,
can you tell me what a woman is?
No, I can't, because it's not for me to say. Womanhood looks different for everybody.
What do you define a woman as?
An adult human female.
And what does a female mean?
Well, that's
how do you define a
someone
female?
with female reproductive organs.
Okay.
Someone who's, here's the thing, when you're female, it goes right down to your bones, your DNA. So that's why if someone dies, we could dig up their bones 100 years from now. We have no idea what they believed in their head, but we can tell what sex they were because it's ingrained in every fiber of their being. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not
but
myself.
You used the word. So what did you mean when you said trans women are women if you don't know what it means?
Right. So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes people
that describes what?
People who identify as a woman.
Identify as what?
As a woman.
What is that?
Was to each their own.
What you want to do is appropriate women. You want to appropriate womanhood.
Okay.
And turn it into basically a costume that can be worn.
What does being a woman mean to you?
Be careful. Hey, Jojo, be careful. They're not legit. What is your news organization? Yeah.
You don't think we're legit?
Oh, we were just told. Just checking. I don't want to get like. There's an easy definition for what a woman is.
Girls have a vagina.
As long as she's identifying as a woman.
A woman is anyone who identifies themselves as a woman.
A woman is someone that identifies as a woman.
It's who you identify as.
If you identify as a woman and you feel that like in your soul and in your mind you're a woman, that makes you a woman.
We know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative. Gets the people going.
Someone who has decided that they feel like a woman.
The complete ability to be fully who I am in whatever space I want to be in.
Being a woman means having the choice to choose what being a woman means to each woman.
You don't think we're legit?
We were just told. Just checking. I don't want to get like clickbaited into saying something that I don't agree with or taken out of. What's your cause and what's your news organization?
My cause?
Yeah, what's the organization? Who are you?
Well, I don't have a cause. I'm going to the Women's March and I'm asking people, what it means to be a woman. Something wrong with the question?
No, it's okay. I just don't look good and I don't want to be on camera.
You think I should change the question?
I don't think that's a bad question. Yeah, I think that's a fine question. Yes, I think that's a fine question. As long as it's not being used against women.
Cool. Do you guys want to answer? What is a woman?
What is a woman or what is a female? What's your question?
What is a woman is the question.
A woman is a gender that's been assigned by society.
How would you describe that gender?
I wouldn't. I'm not a woman.
It doesn't matter what it means to me because I don't identify as a woman. So if someone identifies as a woman, they can tell me what their gender identity means to them.
A woman can describe a woman, right? If somebody says they're a woman, they're a woman. So are you asking me what's a woman or what's a female? What's your question?
What is a woman?
A woman is a woman and a man is a man, right? I mean, I need more. What's your question?
Too stupid to understand and follow simple rudimentary instructions.
Well, that was the question.
Okay. So the answer is a woman's a woman.
Anybody who identifies as a woman or performs womanhood, is a woman. I believe women and I listen to women when they tell me what womanhood means to them.
Yeah. So I thought one of the things he said was interesting in there. He said, well, I'm not a woman, so I can't tell you what a woman is. So that means if you're not that, whatever that creature is, you can't say what it is. So any of those four-legged creatures that walk around, you can't determine if that's a dog, a lion, a cow, or because you're not one of those, so you can't determine what anything is.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's where we're going. So I mean, ladies, I'm curious there. What are actually? Hold on, because I know Chris is gonna have something fire to say. Chris, what do you think?
Go ahead, Chris. Yeah.
I mean,
I can see he was like brimming up for this.
Well, sometimes I think we shouldn't even entertain these stupid conversations, right? Like, what is a woman? What the fuck are we really talking about? Let's be honest, right? It's a basic thing. When you came out your mother, do you have a split or you had a third leg? Which one? That's it. End of story. I don't know what else we need to be talking about. You know what I'm saying? So sorry, but go ahead, ladies.
Wow, never heard it described like that.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. Okay, so listen. Basically, let's just go through all the strikes that we're gonna get right off the bat. So, basically, interacting with something like the Daily Caller, it is going to be written off as something that shouldn't be taken into consideration. Doesn't matter, because they made this clip real in bad faith, therefore don't even interact with it. It doesn't matter if other people have these sentiments. It doesn't matter if they're using this to, push their own agenda against women, which there is an agenda against women from the conservative side also going on. And, it's very interesting because we, as we watched the Matt Walsh documentary, What is a Woman? We come from the school of belief that if you're gonna talk about something, you should watch it. If you're gonna talk about a comedy special, you should watch the whole special, not write an article before you watch the whole thing. I think that that's crazy. And, maybe it's being Black women, maybe it's because we're from a rural area, but we just have not had the privilege to be able to walk away from things that make us feel uncomfortable or that say that we are less than human. I mean, these are realities that we have, and it's still happening all the time when we walk around. People have thin blue line flags, people have Confederate flags, people have Trump flags all over here. And we still have to operate within this town. And I think ignoring what people have to say is not helping the conversation, especially from the left. So, you guys are brave for, I guess, talking about this. I feel like here we're idiots by talking about it at all, because now we're going to talk about it with everybody. But
there aren't any, I mean, as you saw in the clip, I guess, there aren't any women, there aren't many cis women, I guess, who deviate from the general line of thinking. And it's not even so much.
How do we know? We don't know that.
Well, we don't know. I guess we don't know because it doesn't seem that any cis women are talking about it at all.
Or if they do talk about it, they are maligned. They are,
immediately.
The thing that I found very interesting about that Dr. Phil clip first is they're having a conversation about what is a woman, and then the people involved in the conversation are a white man. And then I thought that the whole point of the other person being there was that they identified as a woman.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And therefore were giving their perspective as a woman, and then the other person was a trans man. That's what I thought.
Right.
The cis women very rarely get invited to these conversations, and we're very often said, like, why do you care about this? Or make sure that you have certain perspectives in the conversation. And it's like, I do agree with that. That's great. We can have a trans person in the conversation as well, but cis women are also affected. We're the ones being asked to change certain meanings of words. We're the ones who are being asked to share our spaces.
Even call you cis.
Girl, listen, I'm trying not to get in trouble.
All right.
Okay, like,
look, if I'm calling you cis, that means a sister. Like, I don't know what that CIS bullshit means.
And it doesn't matter how you feel about it. It doesn't matter how we feel about it.
Yeah.
It seems that the feeling, this is the thing that I also don't understand, is like, we're talking about, the trans rights movement talks a lot in terms of feelings. And I feel like something that is missing is that, other people also have some feelings, like, and women are, even though women are, 52% or whatever of the population, we are still a majority because the whole world is structured around men. And it's a patriarchal that everywhere in the world. In other countries, you can get genital mutilation, you know, because you don't. That's what happens in that culture. In other countries, you can get thrown away because you're a girl.
Right.
Don't need you.
Don't
See
need
you
more
later.
girls out of
like,
here. Yeah.
You know, there is a very real reality for a lot of you know, biological women that they cannot change. This is not something that is, you know, it's very important to women as well. And I just feel like sometimes the conversation always goes towards how trans people feel. And I think that that's important, but that's why the conversation is having so much friction, is because it doesn't seem like they're caring too much about what women also feel. So,
right.
And it makes it even difficult to talk about.
I agree.
They don't want the jokes. Let's just be honest.
Like the
Marcus,
whole
they
term.
don't want the jokes that we're gonna throw at them, and that's it.
But
you know what? You better develop thick skin.
Well, what it is like, and I gotta address this first too, because Baba brought it up. Where was it at? The cis women thing. Like, the fact that many people are even going, you know, acknowledging that term shows the power that is being used here. Because it's like, wait a minute, the whole term cis, because this is how I take it. When they're saying a cis woman, a cis man, it's a reverse insult, because it reminds me back to when people were transphobic, homophobic, used to say that's sissy. So it's like in reverse, you're calling us the sissy now, making the people who were born, who I guess chose to identify with what they were born as, it's like they're the alternate.
Well,
they're
so
the
what
other.
Means is like, what it means is that you identify with the gender that you were born
assigned at birth.
But I feel like we're the ones who are born. I mean, we're the ones who are just identifying what we are born as. Why does it need to be a whole new term for us to change when you're the one who's doing the changing? And I feel like if it
wasn't for us. If it wasn't for us getting together and doing what we do, they wouldn't even be here. So I don't even know why you're trying to give me a name.
I'm saying that if your big thing is like, if you're fighting for trans rights, right? Then you have to acknowledge trans women, trans men, right? Well, then why are you going through this big emphasis of trying to almost like get rid of the term trans woman and just say, no, I'm just a woman? It's almost like, is there some level of that you don't feel even or something? Because if somebody's saying, well, I feel like call me just a woman, not a trans woman, because I don't feel like I'm being recognized as even, which I don't really see that being reflected. And then they say, well, if you don't call me this creates violence. I believe if somebody's going to be violent towards you, they're going to be violent towards you. It doesn't matter if I'm calling you a trans woman, trans man, any of that. That person who's going to be violent against that group of people is going to be violent. It's just like any marginalized group, you know, if they hate Black people, they're going to just attack Black people. It doesn't matter that you use a certain term or not. And so I just feel like it's almost it's not a fair argument almost to say that, oh, well, if you don't use these terms that I feel more comfortable with you calling me, you're advocating for dangerous conditions and violence for me. I mean, that I don't know. What are your thoughts on that statement?
I mean, I see the desk. I mean, I you know, I appreciate you sharing your perspective on that, because I see the disconnect, and I think that that's where a lot of people are feeling confused, because people are like, I'm not a hateful person, but you're telling me that I am. And so, and my biggest concern about that is you have people who are independent, you have people who could vote for anybody, they don't care. And when you just kind of start labeling people like, okay, well, if you don't subscribe to this, you're transphobic, or if you don't subscribe to this, you're a bigot, that pushes people away. And I always try to give people real life examples. I mean, this happened with Trump. Once Hillary Clinton called them deplorables, bang, off to the races. We're a group. okay, there's no turning back now, is kind of what she said. She pushed them more to a point. And this constantly happens with extremism, where you push people more and more, you know, to the outskirts. Their behavior will then get more extreme. And, you know, I think that that's what people are trying to point out, with, you know, with what we're saying. Like, we don't want any harm or hate or anything like that to trans people, but we do have some reservations about language changing and stuff like that. But if you start labeling people who are in that area as bad people, you might actually start pushing them to be bad people. I mean,
right. Yeah. Because then, you know, when they go to look for more information and try to, you know, educate themselves or get more information, you know, for something like the Matt Walsh video, if you're looking for a review of this video and no one on the left has reviewed it except for like us and like, I don't know, barely anybody else, all you're going to find, literally when we went to look for other reviews, it was like all like straight up Christian fundamentalist people, you know, like, and so, you know,
like scary couples, like, okay, let's watch this together as a couple, because
their interests are very different.
Yes.
They want women to, you know, women to have a purity thing because they want to keep women in the home and keep women. Their views are very different. They're not like pro-feminism trying to like get women to have equal pay. They want women to stay at home. So their motives are different. They want women to just be having kids all of the time. Like, especially now that they know that white people are getting low on numbers. So they really want the women to stay at home a lot more. So, I mean, their motives are just are different. And you have to understand that like they're staunch. If you know any religious people, they are staunch, and they will, the whole, like, part of being religious is spreading your gospel and telling people about it and sharing that information with people.
Depending on the religion.
Well,
put that in there.
That's true.
Also,
but Christianity for sure, Mormonism, stuff like that. Like, there's, you know, you have to go on.
Yes, of course.
Also a life mission as well, because that is the biggest thing that the left completely misses, is that the right doesn't even, you know, they win the big wars. I mean, the fact that they were able to overturn Roe versus Wade, which is something, I mean, I don't think any of us really thought was going to happen.
No.
But if you were really looking, I mean, FX came out with that show about Phyllis Schlafly, and she was one of these white ladies who was like bound and determined. And she might have lost that battle then, fine, but she set in place, you know, all of the kind of mechanisms and systems that they needed to keep going. And they, you know, they continued to work to try to change more school books and teach more abstinence and all of these other things that they did push. They did, so that even though they didn't win the big war, they had all these other little battles that they continued to fight and push and win. And just like they got all these judges, and that's on and on.
And that's why we were trying to bring up the scariness that is Matt Walsh, because in the same way that, you know, in the 50s, they were getting onto school boards and all that kind of stuff, that's the exact same thing that he's doing. I mean, this man rented out someone's house so that he could pretend that he lived in Virginia so that he could go to a school board meeting. I mean, that's dedication, and that's also money, and that's also strategy. And it's like the left is going to
that's really going in.
Resources.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with if you think about a lot of the stuff with the Civil War people, like the Daughters of the Confederacy, how involved they were with the school books and literally forcing that there had to be almost a positive framing of the Confederacy in the school books. And many of that is still going on up until today in Texas. But that's something which they framing. You're right. The right really, when they stick to something, they go for it. But I think honestly that abortion, because you brought up abortion, I think that really harkens back to the drop in population that's going on within the white population as a whole. It's not just America. That's where a lot of this white replacement theory is coming into play, and you have the higher white suicide rates, overdose rates, all of these things like that. And on the right wing, they're internalizing this as, if we don't get a hold of this, the others, Black, brown, you know, whatever coalition, gay, lesbian, trans, all of these others, the atheists, all of these others are going to take our country from us.
Yeah. Right. And the biggest thing, and treat us like we treated them.
Well, yeah, that's what it ultimately goes back to, a fear that what was done to what they did to others is going to come back to them in some kind of frame or fashion.
Yeah, that's gotta haunt you. But also the other thing is, it's a lot of things coming together at once, because there's also the issue of like microplastics in the water. There's so much of it that sperm counts are way low. So, I mean, it's not even that people aren't trying to get pregnant, like people aren't having the ability anymore because of all the pollutants and stuff in the environment. And so, yeah, I think it's a lot of like wanting to make sure that they have enough of an underclass that's going to serve them, you know, when shit hits the fan.
Well, and I mean, even before, like a lot of the pollutant, which I'm not saying that definitely doesn't help the pollutants that are in our foods naturally and this and that, but I mean, whatever's going on, they're seeing that literally around the world that there is a drop in fertility rates for Europeans or people of, you know, descendants of Europeans. That's just something that is like, however it's happening, and they fear that. I see somebody made a guest appearance. That's cool. Tell them we're glad
their idea of family and connection is weird to begin with, right? Because they go to school, they leave town, they never go back, they get a job, they meet somebody, they never return home, right? Not that you have to, but they're not close with aunts and uncles and cousins. They didn't grow up like that. So their views are very different. You know, their value is more in getting money, having their status, getting their degree or their title, and then they will then look around and they will check their landscape and then decide whether or not it's wise for them to have a child. Whereas people in other situations, they don't really think about all that shit. So it's kind of like a catch. It's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't, because that position of taking your time, thinking about it, trying to plan it out, aka being smart, it tends clearly the data shows that doing it that way is not helping their numbers, right? Their numbers are still decreasing. Their birth rate is still decreasing. The death rate is increasing. That's why we're seeing that. But the only thing is, I like to put this question out there to people when we talk about this topic. What they will then become the largest minority. What happens then? Because then they get to say, "Oh, we're a minority. You have to give us all these rights." That could be an even bigger problem than what we have now.
I was gonna say technically, because Denver brought this up on Rokfin, that technically the European or Caucasian population is roughly 22 to 33% of, well, not as they put it, non-Jewish European population is 22 to 33% of the world's population. So they're already in the minorities. But what's happening is in the areas like America or Europe, they're starting to worry about that drop in population. And here they have the drop in population. Also, that's where a lot of the immigration issues are coming in also.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of the mainly like more white countries, European-centric countries, they do seem to be getting more diverse, and then you're seeing more diverse people in places of power too. Because I mean, it's one thing if they do become a minority in a way, but they've already set up so many systems that they have so much power and generational power.
Yes,
that it would still take so much to really knock them off of still being, a dominant race. But
South Africa, for example.
But now, because they have been pushing a lot of different diversity things, they might have given too many diverse people too much power, and then who knows? So I don't know. Well, but I think that they've got all the systems they need.
I think the diverse people that they put up there are. It's kind of like the slave plantations. They didn't let the slaves get certain access to certain things unless they were certain that this slave, I don't care how weak or defenseless I am, they are never going to take that opportunity to overthrow me.
Yeah.
And so they have found the ones that they know that, for one, buy into the system, whether it's they're getting rewarded from the system, or they have fear that, oh, well, maybe my family can be harmed by this, or maybe I can lose this access because the system is so strong. Just like I was saying, South Africa is the same kind of thing. Even though there are an extreme minority there, like 10%, they still have the massive levels of power, even though apartheid is over. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing: if you go throughout South America, you start finding that most of the people who are ruling in a lot of these South American countries are the descendants of Spaniards also. So it's that same kind of racial hierarchy going on worldwide that's being threatened. And I think I mean, the part that there is something to the people like Tucker Carlson being fearful of this great replacement stuff is they have that natural fear. And so those people who are espousing that is because they can see the reality of the numbers, what's going on and what's happening. And so instead of thinking, well, you know what, maybe these people can decide once they're empowered that everything balances out, the automatic mindset is that no, they are going to get revenge for the shit that we or our ancestors have done to them. And we cannot allow that. We can't even allow the possibility of that.
No.
Terrifying. They don't want
that.
Well,
because I mean, there's so much history of, and this is why they had to change the history books, but there's so much history of so much trauma being inflicted just for their own pleasure because they had the power to do so, because they had the power to make you fight each other or have sex with each other or many, many terrible things that they made people do just because they were
felt
born,
like it,
just because they wanted to. And I think, that's haunting to know that that kind of karma could come back around. So,
Well, I won't go into my beliefs tonight. I'll save that for my other channel. I'll say that because my channel, Hebrew Apologetics, I go into that and prophets. I mean, I don't even have to go into that. Let's just go into, most people believe in karma, right? Most people have heard of the saying, what goes around comes around. Most people have heard of, reap what you sow. All of these things, all these principles throughout all these different, faiths, whether it's Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, whatever. I mean, there has to be something to that. You don't necessarily have to believe in a God to believe in a karmic principle of, okay, this might have happened. And then there's, for every action, there's a reaction that comes back. Right. And so I'm not even saying that, hey, this is going to happen you X, or I'm not controlling the swings. It's just noticing what happens. And also you look at, no power group has ever been able to keep power forever. So everything that goes up must come down at some point. And, the 500 years or so of European dominance literally around the world, we're literally seeing it fall apart like everywhere. And the fact of the United States, it really starting to falter here is, I think, worrisome for a lot of people worldwide. I know we were talking about the trans thing and kind of got off topic, but I honestly feel like this ties together because what I'm starting to notice, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, you guys can beat me up, but many of the most vocal advocates of this happen to be Caucasian people. Also happen to be Caucasian born male transitioning to female. That's where I'm seeing majority of the push behind a lot of this extremism. And it could have something to do. I'm just throwing this out there.
It's coming from white men, and they're white men who want to be treated as women. And
well, not even only that. What I'm saying, Chris, is it could be the possible wrinkle of that fear of that possible backlash that is coming, and now wanting to be projected into a protected or minority class.
Okay, well now you're saying, listen. You're saying some stuff that we can neither confirm nor deny.
I just gotta throw it out there and let everybody think about it,
We'll let the comments think
we'll
on
let
it.
people marinate on that on their own. But I I will at least say that I do know that the violence against like Black and trans people and like people of color who are trans, that's very real. And
yes.
I think they should ensure that we pointed this out in our video as well. Like we pointed out that at the trans rights parade that happened a few weeks ago, there were a lot of white people, and the people who do experience a lot of violence in the community are women of color, are trans women of color. So, it's just like, let's make sure that, the resources are getting to the right people, and, and that we're raising the alarms about, people that the people that actually are really, really vulnerable. And I'm not saying that to like take away from anything else, but usually, in homes that, if you're able to transition and you live in a white family, you probably have more resources, and in some ways that's going to help you look more or pass more or be more affirmed to the gender that you are transitioning to, and that can help your safety. So sometimes resources, sometimes where you live, it could be your profession. We'll let your audience marinate on what you guys said.
Well, I know I know our audience. I'm keep saying mine. I don't know why, but our audience, me and Chris, our audience tends to see, because like we're kind of more, even though we kind of come from a leftist lane, because of looking at the system as a whole. I know myself, I became apolitical. So I would just comment. I pull myself out because I've come to the conclusion it's going to do what it's going to do, regardless. You can decide you want to be the PPP party. You can be this. Let's push communism, whatever. I look at how, and let's just go ahead and call it for what it is. I look at the Illuminati and how they rule things, and how, like, and I'm talking about the ties to it, like literally seeing the monetary ties from the different families, how they operate. I mean, Kelly says, Marcus, the elites ruling UA are psychopaths, and psychopaths do not believe in gods or karma. They're just looking out for themselves. I would highly disagree with you. Highly disagree with you that they do. And this is what I tell people. You don't have to necessarily believe in gods. You don't have to. I'm not telling anybody to. But I can affirm these elites do believe in some form of a god or a religion or a structure. Perfect example. If you look at what's going on with CERN, they did a lot of, and CERN is the organization. It's not the Hydro Collider. But just the weird, because we covered it last week, the weird stuff which they did in the first place. And you know that CERN, short for Cernanos, which was the horn god and like Celtic beliefs and stuff like that. They use a lot of symbolism from God type stuff. They're using a lot of the ram and goat from Pan, and you can't say that they don't believe in something.
That's more so, I feel like, about a power structure that they do believe in. I mean, I don't know if they think that there's going to be any kind of like ultimate consequences. And as far as we can tell on this side of the plane, there are very little consequences for very bad people. They usually get away. They're usually the richest, and they have very nice lives, and they basically just use people for however they want.
And they get like 5 heart transplants, Dick Cheney.
Yeah, they get 5.
Right,
Wow.
Yes.
Good. Just wow.
Yes.
I don't know if it was 5, but I know he had several. Like, I thought one was enough. I thought you got one. Look, I thought you got 1 heart transplant. They said, okay, fine, you had 2 chances. Like,
no, it all depends. It depends on your wealth level.
Wow.
It depends on your wealth level.
Well, Marcus,
all depends on it.
You said this before too, kind of about being apolitical. Like, we have these kind of discussions as well, because I feel like, one, there are just so few solutions kind of on the left, especially. I feel like it's the labeling. I feel like it's like, okay, I'm a leftist, so the rules are this, and then you're locked into this box, And now you can't look for any solutions that might be outside of this box or work with another group or whatever, because these are the rules, because you have to be the best leftist or whatever. And it's like, it's getting too much to the point where people are trying to like check certain boxes rather than find actual solutions. And as you were
think
saying,
for themselves. I mean, people are not on the left. I'm so confused. I mean, I feel like, we haven't been doing this type of commentary, I guess, that long. It's interesting how people just don't think themselves anymore.
Look, I'm smiling because I'm smiling because I like what I'm hearing from them, because even if you go back to the start of the Corona nonsense, everything that certain people were saying that wasn't from World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, CDC, anything you said that deviated from what they said, you were a right-wing nut job, blah, 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 blah. And if you just stayed the course, all the CNN watching imbeciles, no offense to anybody, because there's people I love who believe that bullshit too. Sorry. But quite honestly, a lot of what they believed was wrong. What we were telling them was actually correct. So
and there should be, and the point, I think the thing that's really, really important is that we should be able to disagree and not keep people out of the left. If there, of course, were always going to be people who did not agree with the vaccines on every side. Black people, rednecks. I could have told you all kinds of people off the jump who were going to say no. So that should have been anticipated in the leadership. That shouldn't be something that we're fighting about between each other, okay? Because they should have had a plan about that. And then they do that with like just the labels, rather than having and engaging any real conversation. The left continues to do this. They're just like, nope, those people are Nazis, so don't talk to them. That's it. And I just feel like it's keeping us in one little box, and we can't expand. We're not growing our audiences. We're not getting new people. We're not pulling in independents. So what are we doing here? We're just going to not be allowed to talk about anything because we've got to be politically correct all the time. And we should be allowed to disagree and fine, because it would have been really helpful if we actually did have those conversations about stuff that was going on with the vaccines, because people did have different reactions. Like, your period was different.
Yeah, exactly. And then my period was different. And I was like, this seems weird. And then I heard Bree talk about it on a podcast. And I was like, that's the first time I heard of that. And then sure enough, like last weekend, I read this article and they're like, oh, well, maybe we should have told you ladies, but you're going to have some problems. No big whoop. It's like, okay, wow. Well, that would have been good to know.
But if you talk about
we just mess with your cycle, make it all kind of crazy, make you feel on the ways, but you won't be coughing and sniffling.
And there were, and I mean, like there just should have been more discussion. And instead it became this, everything becomes this test, and it's like, which side are you on? And it's just not really helping. Like, we're all not going to agree about every single issue, but we're certainly not going to find solutions if we're making these hard and fast rules before we even have discussions together. Like, we have to talk.
And they don't think, because they don't think these are the same people who went from watching Michael Moore Sicko saying, oh my God, the system is corrupt and messed up, to, oh my God, we better listen to everything Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson say. It's like, hello, slow down. You're moving a little too fast. Like, you already know these companies are no good. You point out that Pfizer has the biggest fine in history for what? Lying about what their product does. They advertised it as something that was to be beneficial, helpful to you. The reality was it was not. And I'm telling you, you may want to pause before jumping on to their next product. And it's like, no, you're just a conspiracy theorist. All right, cool. That's why I say that was the final nail in the coffin for me in terms of trying to wake people up and trying to, look, I'm running from the zombies too, kid. If you want to stand back there and look for your cousin, you go right ahead. I'm out of here. Like,
I've even seen that, like, And I wanted to do a shout out to Blue Moon Red Wine. I see her out there, and shout out to Ali also. There's a couple of comments over here on Rokfin that I wanted to throw out there. Denver says CERN unveils a statue of Shiva, god of destruction and rebirth. Courtney, you are defining the divide and conquer operation. They play identity cards to destroy class-based political movements and organic development. I would agree with that. I'd also agree with the left in their own cannibalize themselves. If you don't agree with every single issue and you're not on board with every single thing, then we got to get rid of you. And the left now has been more concerned with identity politics. And actually, I won't even say identity. I'll say, the culture war stuff and than anything else. And I've always considered myself, I'm mild on the culture war stuff. I have my different beliefs and views, but I'm not going to the ballot box to really worry about voting on a lot of that stuff. I've always felt the only things that we can actually vote on are the economic issues. We can't force a person to not be racist. We can't force a person to not be sexist. They're going to be what they're going to be. But we can try to fight for better hiring practices, better better work requirements, certain minimum wage. We can fight for some of those things. Healthcare costs, dental costs.
If you actually have access to some stability in your life, then you can actually make some choices. You could choose to move away from a racist person if you have some economic stability.
Yep. Right.
But when you don't have options. So yeah, and I think it's very interesting because there are ways that we can also talk about certain social issues, I think economically as well. And I think that that's a good way to kind of take the conversation back to is frame it with this economic, stance that we should be focusing, on everybody. I mean, all of us are in terrible economic situations right now. So that could definitely, there's so many things that we all agree on, and it is odd.
Yeah. They focus on a handful of things. Like, say, for instance, we might all agree on, I'm just going to throw a random meaning out there. Let's say we all agree on the exact same amount for minimum wage. That, okay, maybe in this state 15 and maybe in that state, because this is higher cost of living, 20 needs to be there, or whatever. 20 in this one, 25 in the other. We might agree on that. But then somebody will be like, well, you don't want to say the term birthing person. So now you're excluded from the movement.
So you're out.
You're out.
That's it.
How does that make sense?
That destroys a movement. That destroys, how? Yeah. And you know that person's not saying it from a place of hate, but now we're discussing this instead of discussing what we were just talking about.
Topic.
I'm like, that's the reason why they do not worry about defeating the left, because the left defeats themselves. And like I told people when I was telling people, I said, you know what? I was arguing, I won't say which podcast it was, but I was arguing with another channel, a gentleman and a young lady, which had pretty big followings on Twitter. And I was telling them, I said, you know how the civil rights movement got anything done? They might have had all these lists of things they wanted, but they focused on one thing at a time. They didn't try to go in and say, you know what? We need workers' rights, and we need rights against children, and we need to have Medicare, and we need to have, prescription drugs, and we need to have this, and we need that. It doesn't mean we don't support all these things. But when you try to fight all of these things at the same time against a group of people who doesn't want to give you any of those things, then they just say, oh, well, we can't do it because the cost is too crazy. And they find a way to weasel out of it because you throw too much at them at one time. And so it's easier to duck out of it. If you look at the LGBTQ movement, or just when it was just the LGB movement before the T got really added, they focused on marriage rights. Right. That was it.
Yes.
Then once they got marriage rights and they started getting marriage equality in all these different areas, then they worked on, okay, let's get rid of don't ask, don't tell. Boom, got rid of don't ask, don't tell. Okay, next thing, you can't discriminate hiring practices on hiring somebody who's lesbian or gay. Then they went to, instead, we're like, no, we need to have all of these things all at the same time. And I'm like, you're never going to get any of that stuff. That's the reason why even the defund movement, it doesn't go anywhere, because it's too convoluted.
You don't think it's clear enough?
Hell no. Republicans get by because they have singular issues a lot of times. Build that wall. It might be stupid.
They do make dumb it down. Yeah.
No, I think that's not. I don't think it's that convoluted. I think it's pretty simple. Reallocate
think about
the funds, and I just think Democrats make it.
No, but they say
because they don't want to do it.
But so they say reallocate the funds. Let's put it in the healthcare workers. Let's get rid of the tanks. Let's get rid of this. And they use that as an excuse. And also, they play dumb with it. They say, no, defund. What that's really doing is you want to get rid of police officers.
Mm-hmm.
The messaging is not that good. And then you have Fox News, which is going to spin it another direction. And so then you have to have the population getting a wrong understanding of it. It's like it was the same thing with the Green New Deal, how they latched on to cow farts and
but that's because they want them to hate this stuff. Because Jimmy Dore, think what you want to think about him, but he went on Tucker Carlson today and he explained what defund the police meant, and Tucker Carlson was like, okay, that actually sounds kind of reasonable. You're talking about moving money from here to here, whatever. Right. I think it's the fact that Democrats don't go on Fox News and correct that narrative. They don't go over there. It's the fact that they let them run away with these different stories and make up things and say, oh, they want to get rid of all the planes and the cow and it make you, and all the things about cow farts and stuff. They don't fight back.
Take away your autonomous car.
They let them run away with these narratives because they want the shit to fail. So, they're like, oh,
I don't disagree.
Want to fail.
And that's what we're seeing. And that's what we're seeing with the that's what we're about to see with these midterms coming up here. Like they're gonna get
scraped. Well, they're just gonna get destroyed. That's all. They're just gonna get destroyed. I mean, that's all to it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they've really messed everything up.
And then what does that do? That creates even more like room for President Alzheimer's dementia to like really step away from the limelight, because then he could be like, what can I do? The Republicans have everything. So it'll just be basically like, it'll be like Obama's first term. You know what I'm saying? So first 2 years you had something, you tried to get some shit done, and then after that you're gonna lose every other election.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole cycle that we're in now, and they know that we will never demand more, and and I mean, as you were talking about violence before, it's like if you try to hold your politicians accountable, for some reason that's also violence, and it's truly an insult to the everyday working people who, I mean, dang, are struggling, dealing with inflation, dealing with, people out in the streets, as we were talking about homelessness, like you literally have to be careful. And it's not to say that, we have, obviously we just want the homeless problem to be fixed, but for everyone involved, because it's dangerous for so many people, spreading diseases, and people just needs to, obviously a stable life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But,
and if we're supposed to be, I mean, you always say this, like if we're supposed to be in the future that we're in, then shouldn't our sentient AI be doing all this work for us? And like,
that's what's coming.
We shouldn't have to be working so hard and doing it. And maybe everybody doesn't have to have a job.
But the difference is, this is what we have to keep in mind.
Mode, like 20 hours a week working.
But see, we're thinking of, when you talk about we should be on chill mode, you're thinking about it as if the powers that be care about us, that they want us to have a good life. I mean, so let me pull back a little bit. When we talk about the so-called left or Democrats in general, these people, like, literally, I believe we've been in a fascist country for a while. The corporations decide. Now, the Republicans come out with a naked agenda. The Democrats pretend, and so we have a Harlem Globetrotters versus Washington Generals type of situation. The Democrats are pretending, oh, I'm trying to steal the ball, but they're not really trying to steal the ball.
Right.
It's all a facade to give everybody an illusion of power. And then also, if everybody kind of woke up to the idea that it is this kind of dog and pony show, then everybody would start fighting back against the system. That's the reason why they both work so hard to keep any third party out of it from ever rising up. So
But that's also why they keep us working, and they won't allow AI and any of this stuff to come in and replace it and let us just go live our lives, because they need us to be struggling for that paycheck in order to stay in line. They need us to be hustling. They need us to like, oh, well, I can't necessarily say that because I could get fired. So they need all of these different barricades to make sure that their agenda gets delivered. You know,
that's why
they have people marching along.
That's why they want the population control so bad. The upper elites, they really want. They're like, hey, can we get rid of more of these people, because we want to get these robots online, so we don't have to pay these people at all. And so if there's more tragedies, I'll just say tragedies going on, where people are harming other people, diminishing populations, more miserable, they take each other out, they take themselves out. It's less of a workforce. And then once we get, a certain G online, we throw a number in front of it, not the one which they're working on now, the one after it, where the machines don't go down, they don't have the issues anymore. Then you no longer need a workforce, and then you can institute martial law for any pushback of anybody who wants to fight back, and you literally force people into Hoovervilles and like forever. No Hooverville for you to pull yourself out of. It's like, no, you literally better learn how to be a prepper and defend yourself, because you're in Mad Max land and we're over here. Like, I'm trying to remember that Matt Damon movie where the rich people literally like have this
Elysium.
Elysium.
This like floating,
Yes.
And it like
that's more what the goal is, to separate themselves off completely. And leave us to fend for ourselves.
Yeah, they're gonna be up there living in this beautiful thing.
Yeah, but but that's how dumb they are, that they think that they can like separate. You think they can go to a different planet? That's not gonna work.
So far away,
you
guys.
idiots.
Like, get out of
it's
here.
not gonna work. I just can't believe that they don't understand that. And
we do not have the technology. We're not smart enough for that shit. There's no way. Dude.
And as somebody in the chat said, like, this is why we don't have Medicare for all. Yes, that's exactly why we don't have Medicare for all.
You really think they want you healthy? Come on.
Yeah, like, they don't want you to be able to pay for your medication or get cancer treatment or anything. I mean, please.
And they definitely don't want you to have free time to be sitting around and listen to people like us talking or reading articles.
They don't want us talking like this, period, because it starts getting in people's head that the gig's up, the game is rigged. They don't want us to even connect that for the masses. That's the reason why I feel like they make it harder and harder for our messages and these conversations to happen.
Yeah, very true.
Let me ask you, do you think that did Google think that we were supposed to just take their statement and just like take that and go to sleep with it in relation to the engineer who came out and said that the program, their AI is sentient? Because they said, oh no, despite how many times we talked to Dude, we told him multiple times it's not, and he needs to stop saying that. But it's not. We ran 800 million tests. It's not sentient. Take our word for it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Corporations never lie, so it's probably not a problem.
Of course they never lie.
Exactly. Why would
not one single corporation has lied to us. Come on, people.
I can't think of any time.
No.
Just like, you know what? That certain diseases and conditions have just popped up all of a sudden that didn't exist for a good 1,000 years. All of a sudden, people start having all these autoimmune issues that really didn't exist 30 years ago. That has nothing to do with any of these medications or food that we're eating.
Oh God, our food is just you can't even get started on the food.
Oh my God.
Literally eating trash. Like, it's really
yes,
bad.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if people know this, but do you know Snickers has a certain amount of a certain portion of rat droppings that they can allow into the Snickers?
I think I did hear that. Yes. Yeah.
It's like, as long as you guys don't go over this amount of rat droppings, you're good.
You're good.
Yeah.
The fact that there's tons of stuff that's legal in America.
I
for
know.
Food,
I love those. I love watching those.
They're like, we don't have that shit
those
here.
Videos that are like, no, you can't eat that in another country. We literally don't allow humans to ingest this. But here, no problemo.
Okay. Well, can we?
But
look, real quick. Yipper said, Beyond Meat is to die for. Yeah, eat that Beyond Meat. You're gonna be beyond life real soon.
Dang, I like
But yeah, I know it's getting super late for you guys on the East Coast. I was wondering, can you give everybody some updates? What you all have coming up next? Any interviews? Any projects? Any stories that you can kind of give us a little hint that you might be talking about? And then just let everybody know where they can find you two ladies at.
Cool. What do we have coming up? Let's see. I don't remember.
I know. I always put you on the spot, and I'm like,
know.
why don't I just say? Okay, so we are gonna have the third part of the
Christian
Walker video that we've.
Oh goodness, yes.
On him.
Yeah.
The next
Wait,
one
is he that real?
He's insane.
Is he that real? Like flagrant?
It's Herschel Walker's son.
Gay dude
Yeah.
who's always behind the filter. Who's always behind the filter with his videos.
Yeah.
Well, or
And
he's
he
just
talks
always
real-
wearing contact lenses. He's
a young Tucker
Yeah,
Carlson.
yeah, okay, yeah. And he looks, yeah. He looks real.
He's nice.
And he talks real saucy. Okay.
Yeah. He's very spicy.
some might call him racist, even though he is black. I mean, I would.
Yeah, many would call him racist.
He's wild. But yeah, so we're in a video with him, and it's going to be him talking to Hassan, Hassan Piker. So that'll be interesting. Oh yes,
yeah.
Get ready for the eye rolls.
Yeah, we'll do a count of the eye rolls again. We have a video. We interviewed Katie Halper. We're working on editing that video up. That'll be cool.
It's just we we usually talk about some current events and stuff, but we've been organizing Camp Dada with a lovely group of other organizers, and just that is like a full-time job. We meet a lot for that, so some of our videos are taking a lot longer to come out just because we want to make sure that the camp goes off without a hitch and that everybody is heard. And I mean, honestly, a lot of the things that we are talking about tonight, it is a little scary because this is the kind of stuff that is trying to divide the left. And so for Camp Dada, we want it to be a safe place where people, obviously have good intentions or are not hateful people, that we can talk and we can learn from each other. We can share our experiences, and, and that's what we should be doing, rather than like fighting each other facelessly on Twitter or in the comments. Because it's not getting us anywhere. And I think people have better intentions than what we are giving them credit for. So, and I think that that's sometimes easier to see in person.
And I think, it's just good to people on the left never get together in person unless it's at an actual protest, which is like short-lived and like very hard to talk to someone because you're trying to do other things, but like this should be a chance for people to actually really have long conversations, get to know each other, go around and cook together, like do all these kind of things. So, really commune with each other. And then, we're going to be sharing some skills, which will be great. Some foraging skills, some, street medic kind of skills, some,
natural remedies and ointments. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. And what else was I going to say about that?
Here, got a question from you from Blue Moon Red Wine, and I noticed when you were in New York, you were up there, saw Katie and Lucy from Blue Moon.
We did.
we did. She asked, "Do you all think there are feds in the trans movement saying the craziest shit to cause reactions? I saw it with the gay rights movement in Ukraine. The Elohina Shavchenko, gay activist." It's a Fed agent. Yeah. Lucy also brought out about that kind of locator thing, which they were trying to do with, check out what Lucy's talking about, because it's some weird shit going on. With this
always got some interesting things for also your mind to marinate on, as
Indeed,
other things we've talked about tonight. I mean, as she knows, we're organizing together, I think, and we've talked about this before. I think there can be ops in any movement, because it seems like anytime you're trying to fight for your bodily autonomy or you're doing anything to the left, there's somebody in there. I mean, just always assume. Like, I don't even trust Keisha. I don't know if she's my real sister. I don't know.
Hey, they could have swapped her out already. I mean, they could have swapped her. I've been watching Westworld lately, so I mean,
oh my God, I love Westworld.
Gotta
twisting my head up on what's reality and what's not. I mean, I remember when The Matrix first came out. I really walked out of the movie theater like, "Am I in a dream?"
Totally. Yeah. Like, wait a minute.
You know?
That was Truman Show for me, I guess. But yeah, like when you see those kind of things where you know they can basically manipulate reality, it's pretty crazy. And then you're like, wow, there's no real limit to what they can't do to get what they want. You know?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you go like well, we gotta have you two back again because there's so much more that I want to ask you to. But yes.
Oh gosh, sorry, we talk so much. But yes, follow us on Instagram at Banks Sisters,
on Rokfin,
on TikTok even. I think it's Banks.Sisters. Just look up Banks Sisters.
I've been Orphan Black.
Yeah, yes.
I've seen that show.
You know, I haven't gotten. Look, I haven't gotten to the point where I could be like, "Yo, check me out on TikTok." I haven't gotten it.
Oh,
listen,
I don't know what you're gonna see. You're just gonna see clips of our YouTube. But,
yeah, and also maybe some other things thrown in. I don't know how it works.
To reach the children.
Literally, I think we might as well just do videos where we just like bat our eyelashes at the camera. I think that will get us
be famous.
You'll get more subscribers.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like I don't want to hear the words. Just let me see them on camera looking at me.
That is true.
I don't like to dance, so it's a real problem.
We're gonna start, I think that's gonna be our next vein. We're gonna do that so we can make some actual money. You know,
use it for
like what's with all this thinking stuff? I didn't think they were gonna be thinking.
Yes, why are these girls talking? Oh my God.
Limit. See, yeah, that's what we're gonna work on.
Yeah.
You know, hey, Chris,
COVID
it's time for you to start pulling out your gigolo tricks on camera for everybody to get us some viewers. Hey, look, Corona showed there's a lot of thirst buckets at home online who will part with their debit card numbers and credit card numbers. Like, it's ridiculous.
Great. Yeah, I told you. See,
Thank
I've got
you,
a great
Francine.
idea for that. So yeah.
And said, thank you, lovely ladies. Chris Marcus in chat. Everyone take care of each other. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, I see. INN checked in. By the way, to say hello. Thank you over there, Denver. Thank you. Who else? And I know Slow News Day was over here. Thank you, everybody who's on Rokfin also. And make sure you guys come over to Rokfin. I have a interview again with Dr. Guguletu Hughes tomorrow. Make sure you guys come through, check that out. We're gonna be talking a lot of things Africa, so Africa and China. So it's gonna get interesting. That said, you know, thank you so much, Banks Sisters, for joining us. It was definitely our pleasure.
Keisha, Courtney, nice to meet
you.
Thank you.
We definitely have to keep in touch. Definitely a lot to talk about.
Yeah. There's a lot going on and a lot of things we'll have to touch back on. So
because I still want to talk to you guys about the bunkers. So we gotta go in about the bunkers. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Okay. Stay safe out there in the West and in Florida. I mean, y'all are in some dangerous
danger spots. I know.
For real.
I mean, at least you got the military to protect you right there.
Oh, yeah, well.
I know I did some training up there in that Newport News area, and I was in Norfolk for a while. Hated it. But
they could take us out at any second is how I feel.
Well, that's right. You guys are technically the biggest Navy target, so
yeah, we might
that's scary too.
So
you know.
Yeah. I didn't think about it that way. Yeah,
nowhere is safe.
You know what? Let's think positive thoughts. Woosah. So that said, this has been the Political Matrix with the Banks Sisters. Everybody, please have a safe and great weekend. And thank you, everybody, for tuned in and who will tune in later on to catch this. You all have a good one. Thank you so much.
Bye, all.